Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Asylum podcast. That's the one. Episode,
yes.
I don't know, 19 now, aren't we? Good evening, everybody.
Yeah, I'm confused, because I should probably be hosting, because it's technically on mine.
Kind of, but you didn't know when I was going to press the go button, and it's just easier.
No. But I can't. It's weird.
I can press all buttons, and he's like, it's not working.
Mrs. is controlling my channel. He can do what he wants with my channel. It's scary. It's because my baby mama could go into baby mode at any time. So
anytime. We say this every time, and she just doesn't like do it.
I think it's just letting us down. I think she's not even pregnant. He just didn't want to come to Britain Con.
Bring that belly on screen.
Excuses. Madness. Excuses.
It's all a lie.
Shame. Shame.
Put the cushion. Put the cushion under the bed, under the t-shirt, love. Quick, let's go. It's poking out. They can see it. Hang on.
That's a funny shaped baby, Madness.
That's not how they were made.
It's all lies. It's all lies.
So, yes, anyway. So basically, although we're on Madness's channel, I am in control, which is probably not a good thing at all, but it'll be fine. So even if he does have to rush off and deliver a baby, as you do, we should still be able to carry on going.
I hope so.
But otherwise,
so
another wonderful... I've been really looking forward to this week's podcast, actually, because it's all about bacon. I was like, wow, we've got a whole podcast about bacon.
Everybody loves bacon.
So
apart from
even I love bacon.
Weird.
I mean, I don't know why they did a whole ATV on bacon, but there we go. Anyway.
Emergency bacon.
Emergency. No idea. Bacon, yeah.
That's like pre-cooked bacon that you just have in your purse for when you're hungry.
Pre-cooked, yeah. You just kind of in your back pocket. It's like, oh shit, I need bacon.
You do understand that anybody that's joined Star Citizen since 3.0 isn't going to get the joke, right?
No, I know. I don't actually think... I think Madness is looking at me odd like he doesn't get the joke either, so
he probably doesn't, to be fair.
He's just nodding his head. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I'm totally with you guys.
I totally don't get it. I'm like a noob. Completely noob. What's the joke?
They'll bring her back. They're going to bring her back. We're going to have more distressed bacons. I don't know if they're going to have that line, though.
Why did they take it out, really?
They said they had a ATV or a Calling All Devs where they talked about it. They said they weren't quite ready. They said they could have put her in the missions in, but they said it just wasn't working right. So they decided that, you know what, we'll just push it off to the next patch.
It was going to come with a new system for missions, I would imagine, for 3.0.
Yeah, so she's coming back then.
Yep, she's coming back. I think it was like 3.1 they were trying to push for, and they just said there was other stuff that was further along, and there's just gonna be too much bother, so they just pushed her off to the next patch. And they're like, well, we'll get those stuff fixed, and she'll come in.
Have they made her? Because I think I probably must have missed this bit on ATV, but have they made her so that she's actually a mission you have to find? No, you have to find her to trigger the mission. Because we're all talking about this and saying, you know, it's kind of become like a bit of a kind of a fun thing where people say, what's happened to Tessa? It would be great if there was like a mission that was the trigger to go find Tessa that then triggered the, you know, distress beacon.
So what would that mission be called? Cool. Triggering Tessa?
I don't know, maybe.
That's
Do you really want to go there? Do you really want to go there?
Why not? I mean, like, I think there's an opportunity there. There's an opportunity for a little bit more fun with it. And yeah, I don't know. Tessa will come back.
I wonder if they have an actual actress that they scanned in that you can go meet, like Miles or Ruto.
Nice. We've always called her. I think 10-ton Tessa is the kind of the going phrase.
Well, that was what we was going to try and do. We were Rithius and I were going to try and do a T-shirt of that with like 10-ton Tessa sitting on top of a freelancer. Do you know, like the old World War posters with the planes and just having this like 10-ton Tessa sitting on a freelancer? I thought would look quite cool. But I'm no good at art, so it never materialised.
She's attractive. Yeah, well, I think I showed like a basic. There was someone's done slightly curvaceous the pin-ups for the front noses. Right. Always the attractive one. There was somebody that did for fun. They did slightly larger women.
Yeah, that's what I mean. No, that's what I kind of mean. Just a nice larger curvier woman. That's all.
So she's like 10 tons.
It's not quite
this whale. This whale kind of jumping out of the water. That would be amazing.
And
nose art,
you know,
I think
it's more like Meg, like Meg is like, Mila Kunis is super attractive, but then she plays like a really kind of like less attractive, more annoying kind of female character in that Family Guy show. It's kind of that kind of thing, because the girl who does obviously Tessa, she's very attractive from what I understand. People have told me she's very pretty, she's very nice, very nice girl.
Very nice, very pretty,
very nice girl. Gotta be careful, the wife's there. And
the wife's there.
So it's I just thought it was fun. It would be, and I liked it. I think, yeah. Anyway, whatever. Moving on. Quickly.
How Madness talks about other women.
Actually, do you know what? Just off topic, but for my 17th, I think it was my 17th birthday, my best mate bought me a spade, and a real spade, like a proper and a really expensive one. And he turned up. He said, "He's like obviously my real name, but he's like, Madness, this is for you." And I was like, I didn't get it at first. I was like, what? And he's like, you're always digging holes, mate. This will help you.
You're always digging holes for yourself.
I was like, thanks, pal. Still got the spade. It's an awesome spade. But yeah. That's when you know your mates get you.
Golden spade. Actually, that reminds me of a saying we have. I don't know if you have this in this over there, but in the States, we have this saying, real friends help you move, but real friends help you move bodies. I don't know, for some reason that reminded me of that saying.
That's true.
Because when he said my best friend brought me a spade, I'm like, oh.
Well, there's stuff you've been getting up to that you shouldn't be talking about on stream.
A bag of rum. Well, there was this one time, in a hotel. Anyway, moving on.
Moving on.
So, moving swiftly on. So, yes. Let's do the usual. We do the usual routine. So what's everyone been up to since the last week's podcast? We've got the same bunch of guys actually as last week as well, which is great. HC is kindly going to be becoming a regular on the show, which is fantastic. So we're really pleased to welcome him on board with us as part of the Asylum, and it's going to be a lot more. It's going to be here.
I know, we just needed an American that we could like poke fun at a little bit. That was all.
Yeah, pretty much. That's it. So
laugh at me, laugh with me. What's the difference?
So welcome and thank you for joining our crazy crew. So let's go around. So HC, we'll start with you as we talk about you. What have you been up to the last week? What have you been playing? All that good stuff.
Well, we just finished up BattleTech on the stream. We're changing our stream schedule over AM stuff, less pushing into the middle of the night, early AM kind of stuff. So we just got off an early morning stream, and I had a bit of a lie down and nap. It's really trying to adjust your circadian rhythm to like a new schedule entirely is a little wears on you just a bit. So if I seem a little slow, well, that's just how I was born, But if I seem a little tired,
got nothing to do with it. But
I appreciate you doing it, dude. Because for me, now that I'm not gonna be able to stream so much when the kid comes, I need more people streaming in the dayish time to enjoy, for my time in the UK, because it's become like barren zone. There's one or two people that are doing it, but it's so dead on the Star Citizen front, who I watch and enjoy. There's a few people, but generally in terms of like who are consistent and deliver the kind of content that I enjoy, it's really tough, really tough. There's only a couple. But
you are allowed to watch other games.
Yeah, I do.
So we're still doing variety streaming. We got a bunch of other projects we're thinking about launching. I definitely want to finish up like some earlier Chris Roberts games. I think we're up to Wing Commander 4 right now, Price of Freedom.
Yep.
So I want to finish that one up.
Oh, nice.
And then we're taking suggestions on my Discord. So if anybody's a member of my Discord, we do have a new channel up there for submitting stream ideas. Because show me a Star Citizen streamer, I'll show you a variety streamer.
I bought the Wing Commander movie last night. I haven't watched it yet, but I bought it.
Oh my god, you are in for either you're gonna love it or you're gonna hate it. It's one of those movies that's so good, it's so awful it's good that you just laugh at, like, what? They did that? Or it's just like, I can't believe they did that. So
I can't wait.
Yeah. It's up there with Starship Troopers. 2 and 3.
Starship Troopers. No, you shut your mouth. Starship Troopers was
2 and 3.
Michael Ironsides was amazing in
2 and 3. Not so much.
Yeah, okay. I know. Like the second one and the third one didn't need to be made.
Exactly.
In every way. Awful. Actually, do you know what? I went to the cinema when that was I think it was a 15 in the cinema, but then I went to DVD in the UK and it became an 18. I always remember kind of going, I saw it. I saw it when it was unedited.
I saw it when I was underage.
I was underage.
The breastises and the buttocks. How amazing.
Yes.
So So yeah, okay, cool.
So that's it.
That's it. Okay,
For
cool.
now.
There's not much Star Citizen then.
Oh, there's plenty of Star Citizen.
Okay.
But we're gonna be talking about that, right?
Boring though.
What are
Right.
we talking about? It's boring. We don't need to talk about it. That's fine. Okay. And then Moist. What have you been up to? What's happened to you?
Yeah, Moist, what's going on?
We hadn't called this.
on,
We
boys?
hadn't called this at all, had we? Like last week, we certainly didn't expect this to happen. But Moist, can you do this for us?
Everyone. Yeah.
Can you do this for us, Moist?
Yeah, we totally didn't see this one coming.
So, Pro Rider, how's the things going?
So last week we were talking about the fact that I bought a boosted board. I'm still loving the boosted board. It's a lot of fun. I'm now Stunt Noodle.
Stump.
Or Stump.
I've just learned not to ride it on my lunch hour at work when I'm rushing to get back to work on time. But yeah, I fractured my arm. That was exciting. And yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
On a scale of 1 to 10, because I've cracked my rib before, and that was, I didn't know at the time, the adrenaline from snowboarding kind of just completely masked it, plus tons and tons of tiger balm all over my body from previous falls. Kind of was doing a good job of masking it. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much did it hurt?
So at the time, right, so I kind of did it at a major junction in my city. So I got back up and I was like, I'm fine. I just waved at the cars. I'm fine. Don't worry about it.
With that hand, I'm fine.
And I got back on the board.
Is there footage?
I hope not.
It's probably a
Somebody
dash cam video.
who works in the council must have been laughing on the camera their ass.
It's gotta be. It's traffic cameras all over the UK, right? You gotta be. You gotta be something.
There's got to be something somewhere, yeah.
Blue hair
So-
just flying through the air.
The
Just
thing
the
was,
blue-
I
the
wasn't
blue
even,
flash,
I I wasn't even going fast. I wish I'd come off at 25 miles per hour because at least I would have some.
Well, you probably wouldn't because your neck would be, instead of an arm sling, it'd be a neck and collar in a brace, just going, yeah, boosted board is fun.
Boosted board. I was thinking about
trying to get up a curb. I was trying to get up a curb and I fell off at like 2 miles per hour. It was pathetic.
God, that sounds
So,
fucking. It sounds like something my grandmother would say.
Oh my
like I was
God.
trying to get up a curb and I fell over.
Couldn't quite lift the Zimmer
frame.
frame high enough on the curb. It caught it as it went up.
so I hit.
We're such a caring group.
was-
Yeah, welcome to the
Right.
team, by the way.
I have to. I have to explain.
explain.
I have to explain. So in the UK we have drop curbs, so disabled people with wheelchairs can get up
Right,
the curb
right.
easily.
All people on
But
boosted
some of
boards.
the drop curbs aren't quite low enough. So when you're going up drop curbs, you have a decision to make, right? You have to committed. I sped up, but the board still stopped. And I remember looking down and seeing the board just stop, and thinking to myself,
That's
"You
funny.
fuck."
You're
And
supposed
as
to
I
go-
hit the floor, so I'm lying on the floor. I get up, I get back on the board, and I just wave to people. I'm all right. I'm all right. And as I start pulling away, I look down. I feel the pain. I'm just like, I literally said to myself, "Oh fuck, that hurts."
Something's not right here.
I go around the corner. As I'm going round the corner, like towards my work, I started feeling nauseous, and I felt like I was gonna throw up. And I could like feel the pain. Like it started at my elbow, and then I went down, and then it started spreading up my arm to my shoulder. And I stopped, and I was sat on my board, and I put my head between my knees, just kind of hugging my arm. I was like, shit. I got back on the board. I went to work, and I walked into work, and I tried to act like nothing was wrong.
Oh my God!
He's like
Just
zombie
cowboy
mode with
up.
one arm just dangling
Sweat.
down.
Sweat is dripping down his body.
I walked into the front door, and the issue that I have at the moment is, ever since the accident, is that my arm feels like it's made of lead. And I walked through the door, and I was holding onto my arm, and my manager stood right in front of the front doors as I walked in. I was holding my arm, and she said, "You've come off your board, haven't you?" I said, "No." No.
What are you talking about? Oh Jesus! She's probably like, "Who do you think you're fooling?"
She's on her phone, and it's already gone viral. It's already gone viral. The person from the camera's already put it on YouTube, and it's gone completely viral, and everyone's watching Moist fall off
It's funny. It's funny you say that because the council depot, who we're contracted with, is right in front of where I came off the board. And she was fairly aware that I'd come off the board. So...
yeah, they've got footage.
Like, oh my god.
She said, "Do you need to go to hospital?" And I was like, "No."
And
she said, "I think you need to go to the hospital." I said, "Right, give me an hour, and if it still hurts in an hour, I'll go to the hospital." And I sat down on a sofa, and I was there for about 5 minutes. And I looked up at her, and she said, "You need to go to the hospital, don't you?" I went, "Yeah." So one of my colleagues, to be fair, who's on their holiday, on their vacation, they came in and picked me up, took me to the hospital. And I was only there an hour, which, if anybody's from the UK, anyone from the UK knows, that is amazing for the UK. But as I was leaving, the nurse who initially saw me in triage when I got there, she was showing me how to take tops off with one hand, which was very kind of her.
What kind of nurse was it? You sure you went to the Royal Gwent or somewhere else? Here's how you take your top off.
You out.
I think I had that nurse. She was teaching me something different.
As I was walking away, she said, "By the way, just to let you know, because I had my board with me and my helmet and my bag and stuff." She said, "You can't ride that board for 6 to 8 weeks." So essentially, just to explain, I've fractured. So one of the bones that connects your elbow, I've fractured all the way across the bone there. But they didn't X-ray my wrist, and I'm pretty sure my wrist is fractured as well. But there's no point going back because they can't do anything about it anyway. But as I was walking away, she said, "You can't ride that skateboard for 6 to 8 weeks." And I was like, "Completely understand. That's fine. Won't touch it." Walked through the doors, put the board on the floor, jumped straight back on it, and then rode like the mile back to work with my arm in a sling.
This guy.
It was a lot of
you
people
do realise how
me.
much permanent damage you can do if you fall off again. Just saying.
Fine.
But if you don't want
fine.
that arm, it's honestly keep
It's
riding
fine.
it.
Well,
It's fine.
I still have to get back. I still have to get to work in the mornings, so I still ride it to work. But I take the sling off because people keep laughing at me when they see me riding the board with a sling. But
could you imagine him falling off with the sling on? It's like, it's bad enough to it's just bust the other arm, and it'd be like 2 arms
that's
up
why
like
I think about the sling.
2 slings. Gotta be 2 slings.
But yeah, that's pretty much my week, really. I've been streaming Star Citizen, and Star Citizen is surprisingly easy to play with one hand because you can just bind your forward and back walking movements to your mouse and interact to your mouse as well. Then when you're actually in the ship, I just use my right hand on the keyboard, so I wouldn't want to try and combat with it, but it's not too bad. Yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
Yeah, and going off that, actually, Star Citizen has a lot in similarities with those Japanese virtual novel games. You can play those with one hand as well.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Do you know what though?
It's not going to go there.
Nobody's going there.
It's incredible how much, like, when you do like lose an element of some kind, like, you know, if you hurt your neck or you do anything and you're not used to this type of thing, it's amazing how shit just seems to stop instantly. Everything becomes incredibly difficult. You take it so much for granted, having 2 hands, do your flies up, do your belt up, to put your shoes or do your shoelaces. It's freaking hard, man.
I had a moment at work today where I had to make a really difficult decision, and the decision was:
up or down? I haven't got that joke.
Do I just continue and just try to battle through the pain, or do I message my manager and ask her to do up my trousers? Because I went to the toilet. And I couldn't pull my zip up, and I couldn't button it back up again. But I battled through, and I managed to get it done. It was okay.
You managed to get it. You managed to get it done, but everyone else was like clearly watching you. Toilet paper hanging out your ass, flies slightly undone.
Do I wipe or not? Well, you joke, Mr. Coffee, but that is also part of the challenge. Yeah.
Let's just have a podcast on what Moist does with one hand. No, let's not.
Yeah, let's
By
continue.
the way, guys,
I mean, we could. That is
more of this
exploitable.
type
That
of
statement
stuff.
right there is extremely exploitable. How about we just keep moving on?
If you have any questions, exclamation
more.
mark question in chat.
Yes.
Thank you.
I think it's open. Is it open?
Yeah, it is.
Are we open?
Opened
I have.
earlier. Yeah.
Is it open? Awesome! Exclamation question. Yes. Please feel free. We'll go through questions as we do the show. So, like I said,
We're
there's
just
no.
going to get a bunch of questions now saying, so Moist, if one hand,
Yes,
can
Moist.
you do this?
Yes.
Can you do this? Yes. I do this. Yes.
So, Ms,
Good stuff. Yeah.
what about you this week? What have you been up to?
This week, what have I been up to? I don't know. Actually, this week we've been doing some. I've been playing Age of Conan, actually. Not streaming it, but just been playing some Age of Conan. It's been quite good fun. Apart from, I keep regretting that I actually rolled a bloke rather than a female, because I just keep looking at my man's arse every time the wind blows and the flaps of his skirt seem to go up. It's like constant. They really need to work on their physics, because it's not good. And then every time you climb up a ladder or a rock face, like, for God's sake. Now I realise why in the beta I played a female character. It's a lot better on the eyes.
Visually being teabagged every time you walk up a ladder.
Well, you can. I mean, it is a game you can literally teabag in as well, which is quite fun. It was like, I mean, it was all the rage when the Conan first came out, because obviously the things were dangling down quite nicely, and you can teabag anybody you want. Anyway, so that's Age of Conan. Yeah. So apart from that, I've been doing. We did some carried on with the D&D campaign on Friday. That was really good fun. No one died again. I'm getting a bit disappointed here. I'm definitely going to have to up the difficulty
You have to
level.
try harder to kill people.
Yeah, people are surviving far too easily. So, like, the difficulty I got as a DM at the moment is I'm completely brand new to it, and secondly, we've got quite a big group. So we've got like 7 people in the group, and trying to balance it so that the monsters actually stand a chance against them all. It's not that easy. So. We'll find a balance, but someone probably is going to go and die horribly when I try to get the balance.
Well,
it's like, okay, so
the
squishing is too easy, so let's stick a dragon in instead and see how they. Oh, right, okay, so a dragon was a little bit too much, right? Okay, so that character's now gone, but it doesn't matter. I'll pull it back a little bit.
Murdered.
Somewhere between kobold, and dragon. Okay, that's our difficulty curve.
Narrows it
That's
down
like
a little
Dark
bit.
Souls.
The thing is, like, the thing is, he doesn't joke about it. It's true. Like, we've got people in the team, haven't we, Miz, who are like, there's some people who don't know anything like me, who's completely new to it, and they've got 1 or 2 guys who have a bit more experience, so they meta some of their characters. So 1 or 2 of their characters got insanely good stats, and like, whereas I just was like, okay, I'm just going to role play this. It's going to be this. It's going to do this. So I didn't really think very well about some of my choices. So it's like, I'm just like, if he has to dial up to kill these other people, I'm fucked. I'm like, literally, I'm just going to be like, I'm just hanging out the back and let them do everything, because
Hanging at the back, eh?
That's
Sorry.
Hey.
That was just in Conan, but yeah.
Sorry, that was too far. That was too far. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. I do it all the time. You guys feel free to do it to me. So yeah, no, it's. But I'm enjoying it. I don't know about you. Like, the last weeks, I think was one of the best weeks we've ever done.
Yeah.
Miz did a fantastic job with with everything. So
Yeah, so if anyone's interested in the D&D, you can catch up on YouTube. We've missed 2 episodes, which I'm a bit pissed off. So it seems like Twitch now unless you're partner, they don't keep your videos for longer than 2 weeks. Because it used to be 30 days, but now they're deleting it after 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I don't get why you
just
have
be
that
aware
happen.
of that, because I've had to
14
download
days.
everything.
check your information, because it says on mine 60 days. On
No,
mine.
60 days for
Little box
partner.
ticked.
It's
No, this-
14
they
days for
changed it.
non-affiliate. It's 14 days for affiliates, I think, or 30 days for affiliates. But partners get much longer
It
ability
used to
to
be
save
30
the
days,
videos.
and that's what I relied on, but now it's gone. I've 100% I've got videos that are gone that we recorded and done. So we're missing 2, but they were the kind of the one was the fair that we did, and then the other one was actually the beginning of the campaign, which I'm a little bit pissed off with, but there's nothing I can do about it. It's lost, so there we go. But otherwise, yes, you can go and catch up with all the other ones that we were doing on YouTube. Last week's one will be going up tomorrow, so you can go and watch that. And then on the Wednesday nights, I'm doing my usual paint, prattle, and roll. I finished off the Spaceman finally. for Star Citizen. Because he just needed a little bit of touching up and making his visor nice and shiny. In fact, no, I don't have it here, so I can't show it. So he's. I can go and grab it in a minute, but he's now finally finished, so that's good. So I'm just painting some Blood Bowl characters at the moment until I decide what else to paint. So yeah, that's on Wednesday nights. And then then there's just the podcast on Monday. So, and also for anyone that's a part of our community that's playing Age of Conan Exiles, we do have a server at the moment, so people can come and join us as well. So it's been good fun.
You can join these guys. I fucking hate Conan, so you won't see me playing that game. But
I would play it. But I've already played Ark Survival Evolved, so...
Oh, I'm sorry.
Again.
I played Ark as well.
I'm sorry, that's the answer.
I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry for you. I'm sorry for your loss. Your time loss.
Yeah, your time loss. You know, time is valuable, right? I played Ark. I'm sorry. My condolences.
I like the snowy bit. That was fun.
Yeah, there was just a little bit of there.
1 second. My wife is doing strange things. 1 second.
Oh, dear God. Live birth.
Oh, God. Oh, no. Is it happening? Is the baby coming?
Just tell her to hold out for an hour. And I mean, we got a time anyway, haven't they? Once you know,
just tell her to cross her.
Oh, look at his face. Look at his face. Oh, is the baby actually...
We're going to have live baby birth here on the Asylum podcast.
Okay. Hope no one's squeamish.
Bring her on. Bring her on. Out comes this pillow.
It was the talk of Ark Survival Evolved which brought the baby.
That's it. It's like,
just gonna have a little doll covered in spaghetti sauce or something. Pull the head
out. Okay. We're okay.
We're okay.
Don't pretend us to be quiet. She can't. I hope she can't hear us.
We're okay. We're okay.
So, Madness, what did you do this week?
What are you going to be doing in a moment?
What's going on in your life today, Madness?
What's going on is I've been playing Star Citizen, and then in my own free time I've just been playing The Witcher 3, still finishing up. I played it once before. I'm still finishing up. This is amazing how big the game is. I forgot how massive it is. Just finishing up the main campaign story and kind of all the little side bits just for the first game when it first was released, and then I've got all the extra expansion stuff to do after. So the game I just forgot how massive it is, and I was so impressed again. I just was like, this game is exceptional. You know, I'm getting kind of emotionally drawn into the characters again, and then not only that, I'm also getting drawn in to the side quests, which are considered small quests, which are amazing. And then reading all the little books and stuff when you pick up, and you're like, it's a civilizations that's lost, and then these people have been stuck here, and then they can't do things. And I mean, some people don't read them, but I actually read some of the things, and I'm always like going, oh, I feel really sorry for the people that were here and they've all died, and you know, it's really sad. And I just incredible, absolutely incredible. Star Citizen, take notes.
Yes,
Squadron 42. You know, an excellent game.
Oh my,
Cyberpunk's gonna be awesome.
Yeah. So a little bit of Madness is over there gushing about The Witcher 3. I can't even get 5 minutes into the game before I stop playing. And here's why. I tried. I got The Witcher 3, and I'm like. I got The Witcher 3. It came out, right? I got it. I'm like, I should play through the first 2 Witchers. And I lost all drive to even play the third Witcher after the second one. Like, I turned on easy mode in the second one, and I said, fuck it, I'm going to go watch a Let's Play on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't put up with it, those 2 games.
The stories are good from Witcher 1 and Witcher 2 from what I've watched on YouTube. I haven't played them because I just watched them to catch up on the story. So that I'd understand it. But I've read the same thing. The first one was good, but the combat was appalling. Supposedly the way the mechanics work wasn't very good.
Yeah.
The second one was slightly better, but there were still problems with it. And then they mastered it by the third one. I think that's the same thing we have to kind of treat in a way Star Citizen as well. It's like, this is the first time they're introducing this game. I think the problem they have is that they've got so much money and so many people have got their like mag lights or lights, sorry, should I say, all over Star Citizen as a game and as a developer. They can't afford to fuck up like the guys Project Red. They had time to build the game over 10 years to get to the one release, then the second release, then the third release. They got time to perfect it. Whereas these guys are having to do it as they go along, and we get to see all the fail along the way.
I have to disagree. I think the guys at CD Projekt did a great job with atmosphere and storytelling in the first 2 games. Like they knocked it out of the park. The first starting area, when you get out of the tutorial area for the first Witcher, it is amazing. like the atmosphere, the storytelling. It just, once you get past the atmosphere and storytelling in the game, you start actually getting into the actual gameplay. It's just, man, it's awful.
I really believe that there's a lot that CIG can learn for Squadron 42. Brought it back, nailed it. Yes.
Yeah, there is.
Look at that.
There is.
Spaceman.
Oh, there you go. Look at
Spaceman.
That's Mrs. Paint.
To bring it back to Star Citizen.
Just so everyone's aware, so Ms.
That camera is crap. With that
You drew that's the actual official model that you can buy from the shop, right? And you painted it yourself and made it actually look like it's worth the money that you would pay for it. Or even more than
like
the money
it's
you
worth
pay
the
for
money, but it's not.
It doesn't have a box
The
stuck on
quality
his
of the
hand.
model
There's
is
something
bad.
wrong here.
Yeah, it needs to be in glass. It does need to be in a little glass box.
He does have a kind of like finger pistol though, where he's chucked the pistol. He's gone to interact with the door, and he's thrown the pistol.
Inner eye.
He's 3.2 ready.
We need to find someone. Can someone do me a favor? Jump onto the site and see if they can show the actual model for that one, and then we maybe Miz, if you want to, actually, you might be able to do it. Grab even just so we get the link, so we can just show Mrs.
I don't know.
Like,
They're still selling it anymore, are they?
Or do they not sell it anymore? Oh, probably not because it's.
Yeah, a lot of that early stuff.
all
That early stuff was just kind of slapped together.
One at a time.
I refuse to believe that official Star Citizen merchandise is shit. I'm sorry. That's just unbelievable.
I forget because you spoke for 45 minutes with the official head of marketing.
I did. She was lovely. Really, really lovely.
Did you want to tell us about that, boys? It's fine.
Shall we talk about it?
Exactly 45 minutes, or was it
It
47?
was 45 minutes.
45 minutes. Wow. So merchandise will improve, marketing will improve, and all that good stuff. But so I've been playing The Witcher. I'm nearly getting. I'm enjoying it. It's nice to play a single player game. I love single player games. EA, if you're listening, single player games are fantastic. Go fuck yourself.
Whoa.
And no
bitterness at all.
You destroyed Visceral Games, and I hate you forever. So that's.
I'm right there with you, man. Cheers. Fuck EA.
You just
don't even get me started.
Did I ever tell you guys about the guy from Grindr who was modeling a lightsaber?
No. Hang on.
Oh boy, I know what
story
Grindr
after
is.
the podcast.
There was a guy on Grindr modeling a lightsaber.
It comes back around to Visceral Games, trust me. But I shouldn't say it on a podcast.
Like I just there's so many questions. But we need to talk about Star Citizen and how a little bit of madness weeks is gone. We still need to finish.
So I've been playing the game. The Grav Lev, which we'll get to, we can. Well, I'm the last person talking, so we can roll into like the document if you want to, straight off of this actually, which would be pretty cool. We can talk about. Let's go straight into the Grav Lev because the new patch came out. They said the Grav Lev was working better. I jumped straight on Mr. Pritchett, my Grav Lev. He was in a bunker the other week, hiding away on. I think it was it Calling All Devs or whatever it was.
Probably working on the Grav Lev.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But he looked like he was in a bunker hiding away from everyone that was hating and throwing bombs in their Hercules on trying to kill the guy that made the Grav Lev and their Nox.
The Grav Lev's
just dropping Noxes on top of him in his bunker. But he's pulled it out of the bag. I mean, the team there, I don't think it was just him, but the team there have done It's right where it should be now, you know. I mean, it makes sense. We go from hover to the SCM mode.
Yep.
The bike stays still, doesn't fall over unless you switch the power off. If you got the power on, it just hovers. It hovers there for me. So as you switch flight, if you turn your power off and the engine off, it will fall over, which is kind of annoying.
It still has issues close to ships and other objects. Like if you try to, we've tried to load them into Cutlasses, even with the new stuff, and it just goes. It just goes everywhere.
Well, I was okay. The first time I did it, it was perfect. I literally I went in, but then the second time I tried to reverse it because I was going in. I thought I was going in too quickly, but actually, if I just left it, it would have figured out and done it itself again. I think, but it was my mistake. But I think they've done. You're right, Moist.
Yeah, you're right.
He didn't fall off his board at all. He's all right.
He's all right. He's all right. No problem. So yeah, no, I've been finding it. Massive improvement. The Dragonfly's good. The Nox is cool. The fuel, obviously, we know about is the issue. runs out too quickly.
No, they feel like they fixed that on the recent patch
on the new one.
PTO. Yeah, we actually went from the Crash Javelin on just yesterday. Being a viewer, went from the Crash Javelin on Delamar to Deacon's. No, it wasn't Deacon's. It was what was that outpost? It was actually an emergency shelter very close to the Crash Javelin. It was like 160 kilometers. We made that trip. We took a Cutlass with 2 grab bikes in it, 2 Dragonflies, landed to Crash Javelin, went over to the emergency shelter, then came back. It was like a 300-kilometer trip, and we had fuel the entire way. So yeah, it was just a giant pain in the ass to get the fucking Dragonflies into the Cutlass and then out of the Cutlass.
I mean, considering it's meant to, like, I thought they were going to do that whole where it automatically land with the green auto landing type thing in there, but it's still not doing that, is it? It kind of
sometimes
I know the
Nox
did, but it just it kind of scratches along the floor as it does.
And we also found out yesterday we got the Dragonfly and a Nox and a couple Noxes into Grim Hex, and oh boy, it does not like claustrophobic areas, because that thing I think it has something to do with like has like a flat surface sensing feature to it, and it just locks onto whatever.
Isn't it where it scans the terrain? So it's probably looking at that, thinking, "Oh, you're deciding to go up a cliff. Let's make you go this direction."
It scans the terrain and sees like a 1 polygon like wire modeled into the world, and it's like, "Oh, that's a hill," and it's just like, and suddenly you're just. It's like it's like the Event Horizon where we're going. We don't need eyes, and suddenly you're in a wall. But yeah, it's if you're operating in open areas on planets and moons, and you want to avoid rocks, the Dragonfly does very nice over everything. So does the Nox. The Nox,
unless it's a big ravine. I've noticed that when I go over like between 2 high mountain peaks and there's a big drop down in the middle. Obviously, I know, but you know, it will go down, and then sometimes it just literally goes straight into the ground, and then you're like,
you know what, the thing that's really pissing me off about this. Why am I holding a pepper? Sorry, the thing that's pissing me off about this whole scenario is I still want to hate on the bikes for some reason, and I'm finding it really, really hard. If I had to criticize anything, I kind of feel like it's a little bit lazy at the moment. It doesn't really take much effort to fly one. Like, you do have to avoid certain size rocks. Yeah, like you do have to avoid big rocks, but other than that, there's not really that much player input involved. Yeah, I'd like to see a little bit more.
I mean, see that on a video, and it kind of like, you could just hover over anything almost. It was like, okay, you've gone from one extreme to the other, but
now here's something I read on Reddit. A poster on Reddit. Forgive me if I can't remember. They actually told everyone that you can actually rebind strafe up to your throttle slider on your joystick, and I did that. In fact, you can do that. When you do that, you can actually set your hover height on the Dragonfly manually. Okay. And if you go too far on the slider, you just take off and you just go into SCM mode, which is another thing we need to talk about. But I think that's what Moist Noodle really wants, to be able to have the ability to set your hover height. If you want, you can hover much higher, but it takes a lot more power and you're a lot more slower. Exactly. Or you can go down closer to the rocks and you can go much faster. And that's another problem we have with the bikes. Hover mode,
you don't go
kind of slow.
Very slow. That's my biggest complaint at the moment, is if you consider, and this is, I've got the video, because this is for me, it is like, so if you, please tell me I put it on here.
You did put something.
Oh, we can just look up like the Nox commercial.
Oh yeah, the advert. So here we go. So basically, the side that the Nox only goes 10 ms faster than the Dragonfly in hover mode, okay? Which is dumb considering the advert. So if you watch the advert, which we were sold for the Nox,
I'm so disappointed on them.
And I click the end. This is what we were sold, okay? So this is what we were sold. And then if you compare it to the Dragonfly, which is considered to be the slow 2-seater kind of like, you know, cruiser, kind of like goes over the desert and all the rest.
Can I just say, I have to completely agree with what the few said in chat. If I get to Hurston and the hover bikes fly over the forests instead of through them,
can you
imagine how disappointing that will be?
Yes, exactly. Like I can hear the Star Wars music in the back of my head.
Right now, they're hovering higher than most trees could go. Well, unless you're talking about an alien tree. You know?
Damn, that's what I was excited about. And the fact at the moment is it goes like 100 ms or something ridiculous.
Actually,
like come on,
I know.
faster!
Die of old
Like,
age before
whipping
you
it.
get there. You can actually go faster though. If you break the hover mode by spawning your ship in at a landing pad on a station, and then you load it into a ship, you actually break the hover mode somehow, and then you take it someplace, and you're permanently in SCM.
Don't
And then you can go
CIG.
You can go as fast as you want.
I did that today because I spent my entire stream trying to do one simple task, by the way, which I failed, which was I wanted to take off from a station, either Grim Hex, or it ended up being Hex because obviously I'm a pirate generally most of the time because I'm evil, but Grim Hex, and then I was going to go to Yella, spawn my Nox or my Grey Cat or whatever it was, and then I was going to fly to Levski, park outside, drive the vehicle to Levski, because we know Levski landing is well dodged at the moment. Drive to Levski, take the lifts downstairs, go buy. I just wanted to buy armor. I just wanted to buy some new clothes and go clothes shopping. It was a very simple task. I just wanted to go clothes shopping for some new armor, get a bit of variety in my gear.
You know what? You should have took your wife. She would have got you clothes shopping. No problem.
Yeah, I know. I should have got or hired myself a personal assistant or something to go do it for me. But it was insane. I couldn't do it. Like, it crashed every time. And then by the time I finally got to Levski, and the elevators didn't work.
Oh yes.
And I was like, I couldn't even get down. And I was just, that's it. I've had enough. 5 hours. 5 hours of trying to do what was, in my head, very simple, was insanely difficult. It was fun trying to do it. We had a great time with music. That's why I kind of know this shit's not going to go right. So I made sure we had music. And
make sure you have good stuff planned out. Yeah, I have a stream about that, trying to take a box from one moon to the other. Just like nothing would work right. Like it was multi-crew experience. We're just gonna take me and a viewer. We're gonna take a box from Delamar to the drug lab, and 5 hours later, I'm trapped inside its terrapin, holding a box full of drugs, and I'm just like, I can't get out of it. It's a prison now. I'm inside of his terrapin. I can't get out.
I mean, I don't know about you a lot, but I don't know how many streams it's taken me so far to try and land a ship without it blowing up. These bugs are just every time takeoff, landing the ship, taking off, it always blows up, and it's like these damn bugs. Like,
to be fair,
one day we'll be able to actually fly these ships without them blowing up.
To be fair, Miz, though, I let you off on the dark side. It's when you crash in the daylight side, that's when I get worried. But the dark side, I can forgive you. Everybody crashes eventually.
Hey, I'm getting better at landing my cutlass in the middle of the night. Let me tell you what.
Okay, what you tell me? What
he closes his eyes and it's like,
hopes for the best.
Hopes for the best. I just deploy my landing gear about when I think I'm about to hit the planet, and it just bounces.
Yeah, that's a good strategy.
Maybe you lose an engine, maybe you don't. It's like gambling.
Yeah, it's a gamble.
It's a gamble.
Could you imagine a pilot in real life doing that scenario? It's a gamble, guys. Maybe we lose an engine, maybe we won't.
It's just like the insurance will cover this. Like, I don't need to worry.
It's like a full passenger plane on holiday. You may live to have your holiday. You may not. It's who knows.
You'll just lose half your passengers, but they have already prepaid. So what do you care?
It's LTI.
And to be honest, if you're going to lose them, at least if you finish them off, they're not going to claim insurance because they're not there to do that. So
yeah. I know a guy with a shovel, so I'm good. I don't need to worry about
Red
it.
Lear, what's up, man?
Oh, wow.
Actually, before Red Lear goes, Red Lear was perfect. He was my meta boss. So basically, I have a few streamers who I know are really good at combat. Red Lear is one of them. He's joysticks, really, really talented dude. And obviously, you are as well, HC, and a few other people are really good. And what I love is like I'm always checking the IFCS every patch. It's like I go in, I fly in, and I check it. And then I kind of draw my conclusions pretty quickly if it's shit, and it tends to be the last couple of patches it's been shit.
Yeah.
But I always want to double check it and make sure, because there's been a few that's been not too bad. I think it was 3.1.4 H or one before H. No, the one before H was it E? I can't remember what E I think it was pretty good, I think, or something. Anyway, one of them was good. And I thought we were getting hopeful. But anyway, so I went into Red Lear's thing the other day and I just go, Red Lear, how is IFCS? And he's like, garbage. It's like literally his word. He's like, I mean, a bit more than that, but it was pretty much, it's, well, I don't know what you mean. He's like, I don't know. I don't know what you mean, but if it's anything like me, it's excellent. I'm going to use that word for the podcast. So thank you, Red Lear, before you go. Garbage is the appropriate word for IFCS.
Yeah.
Yes. So
that was nice.
So
nice shout out to Red Lear there. Everybody go watch him, follow him.
Go watch him. Go give him a follow.
Give him a thumbs up on YouTube.
Did you just say RedTube?
YouTube.
Oh,
Sorry, you need to clean your ears out. You need some Q-tips over there.
Red tube.
Isn't there red tube?
Q-tips are bad. Theory is.
Isn't there red tube in America anyway? They have one of them where it actually pays them. It's something like that. Red tube. Anyway, doesn't matter. Forget it.
It's not probably the time. I know you're using my stream key, but this is not the time to.
Oh, it does matter. It really doesn't matter.
It's not the time. Wow. So so the Grav Lev. So I mean,
Grav Lev pointless unless you're using SCM.
That's
boring.
Yeah. Okay. And SCM stands for, as people know, Space Combat Maneuvers.
So what speed does it go in SCM?
Maximum with afterburner. It's like 200 something without afterburner, 1100 on most of the bikes. If you had that
in hover mode, wouldn't you crash a lot?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean,
like I have a reputation. I'm on the Asylum podcast. I mean, we have a reputation to consider.
Right, I'm just telling you though, but wouldn't you want to crash like backwards at 1,000 whatever it is MCS in a knots?
Dangerous.
You want to go through the gates of like hell backwards with a big fat middle finger on your knots as you go through, with Chris Roberts there going LTI ticket as you're going backwards through.
LTI ticket, I love that one.
Just going backwards like this with your knocks going, I got 2 of these babies, the other one's coming back real soon. That's the thing.
That's the whole fucking point.
Exactly.
That's the whole fucking point of the hover bikes. You gotta live fast and live dangerous and die fast. It's just.
I agree.
It needs to be stupidly. Oh my god! It's like the Jedi. Remember
stupidly fast.
Remember the Return of the Jedi, where he was at the bike and then he took the stormtrooper into the tree and then it blew up. Fireball. I want to be that stormtrooper.
Yeah.
I want to be that stormtrooper. You can't tell me no. Exactly. You've seen it.
That's what they sold us. That's the thing. That's my point. That's what they sold us. They sold us this insanely fast bike that kicks up a huge ton of smoke behind us, and everyone can see you coming from about 1,000 clicks away and see this huge.
Okay, so do we think that they've slowed it down because of this hover technology where it's scanning the floor, and if it goes too fast, it's not going to be able to detect it, or do you just think it needs balancing, and hopefully they'll come around to making them faster again? Because I hope it's not the earlier. I hope it's not just because of the technology, because we're never going to get fast bikes otherwise.
I think you're probably right, half right, because the reason why we don't have flight EVA that's very fast for personal EVA is not very fast because they said the physics system just can't deal with it. And I think maybe the ray tracing they got for their hover technology probably has the same limitation. Like if you go too fast, it just loses its shit. That's kind of what I suspect as well.
Yeah, it probably can't keep up with all the information whizzing past it. Like, it's just a shame. It's a shame.
Go back to how other games do it and not worry that it doesn't hover up and down.
Oh, that would be cool with me. Just stick it in like put a spring mechanism in it, and then if you can find again, it comes back to that whole kind of. There's a few other things that are a problem as well. Is that I think they can't build roads at the moment because they can't lock down the construction of the things because they do change based on the procedural technology still changes shit. So they can't build roads, otherwise you'll start having like weird mapping issues. I think I wrote it down somewhere. There's just they can't do it yet. So until they get that technology in, they can't really create, I think, those huge long roads that we.
I swear to God,
to rip
I saw an ATV where they showed off procedural road tech. It showed it was really ugly, but I'm not imagining it. I swear I saw it.
No, I've looked through it. It's an official CIG response talking. It's just not here. They want to, and they're working very hard on doing it, but they just can't do it just yet. Which I think might be another reason. Eventually, if they can do that, then I would say hell with it. Like make a super fast, crazy hot rod wheeled bike, whatever, that can just do insane speed. But the problem is, again, like this is again you and me, we talk about this HC, and you coined this phrase, which I think is fantastic. The fun tax, I think it was you called it.
Yeah, the fun tax on fun,
which I think is the tax on fun, which I think is absolutely. I use it now as well in my stream because it's such a great thing. Because I think to myself, there are many cases when I'm sat there going through my Mobiglass for 15 times, the game, I'm constantly wanting to go faster. The game is constantly wanting to slow me down. Every step of the way is wanting to slow me down, make everything become much more laborious and slower. And I'm just like, I want to get back to the fight. I want to get back to this. I want to get back to that. And it's just like, there's just always these things slowing me down. And the Nox is a prime example. Advertised as super fast, seems to be really slow.
And
this
this kind of comes back to a lot of stuff, like IFCF's ESP being terrible, the Nox and Dragonfly being slow as they are. A lot of it comes down to, in my mind, in theory, the theory I have is just the network tech. The engine tech really isn't up to snuff. We really that's why I'm kind of excited for this year, because if they manage to get this math figured out, a lot of it's just math. If they can figure out how to get this stuff to work properly, maybe we can have that super cool fast bike. Maybe we can have amazing space combat. They just need to get the network tech in the better spot, so it's not desyncing and losing all the information everywhere and just being very unstable. You know, the whole we've said it before, trying to build a bridge while you're using it for, you know, traffic and whatnot at the same time is just an awful idea. But that's kind of what we're doing right now. We're building it and we're using it at the same time.
Yeah, otherwise, you have to, right? Otherwise, you wouldn't have really a show to talk about. So it's the way it is, I guess.
We'd be streaming something else.
I'm sure at times they probably feel like that, though. That we just want to build on it and not give it to you because you just keep moaning that it's broken. Times where they give you the build and they're like, well, it's clearly not what we want, but it's just going to have to be the way it is.
I think for the way that it takes off and flies into space, there's a lot of questions. I mean, okay, first thing, they've done a great job. I don't want to get away from the fact they've done a fantastic job.
Oh yeah, they did a fantastic job. This patch, the P2 patch, great. They're fun to ride. They don't slam you on everything. It's
great job. We're not. It's like, you've done that. Well done. Here's the flag. Well done. Congratulations. I'm not taking it away from that. But I certainly want to have the whole point. This is a podcast. It's a dialogue. It's a conversation about the mechanics and the way it works and what we want to see going forward. Yeah, what they did wrong. Yeah, but what we want to see going forward. And do we think this is the right system? You know, just as I mean, it doesn't matter really what we think, but it's just nice to have the conversation about the way. Do we think that we should be able to take these vehicles, because they are ultimately becoming mini spaceships still, up into atmosphere, breaking atmosphere? You know, it seems like the Nox, for example. I agree with Miz. Why should it do that? You can't carry cargo on it. It just seems a pointless. I don't understand why you need to take that vehicle out into atmosphere, into space. I just someone please, other than somebody give me one good reason, which I agree with, which is Hurston and some of the big cities when you can kind of fly around the cities and you maybe need to get higher up. Well, that's it.
There's an element of, I don't know, it's kind of pushing the boundaries a little bit, but like, say, if you need to bring your bigger ship near something that you want to explore that's in space and you sort of transport to and from that place, if you can't get your ship in close to it. You know, like a really dense asteroid field and something's in the middle and you want to get to it rather than EVA all the way, which would take you a long time.
That's space, that's fine. I'm talking about, I don't mind the Nox being in space. I actually don't mind the Nox necessarily being in space.
Oh, so I thought you were talking about in space.
No, leaving atmosphere.
Oh, I thought they said I know it does now, but I thought they said that wasn't going to happen because of the shield.
Yeah, that was when the Dragonfly was originally pitched. I believe it was the Q&A. They said, you're going to have to put it on a ship to take it into planet and out of planet.
So have they actually confirmed that that's going to be the case, that they're allowing you to go in and out now? Okay.
Yes. In fact, John Pritchett, he did a Q&A on Spectrum. This whole debacle recently. In fact, it was like a week ago. He did a Spectrum thread where he said that it was basically handed down to him from someone up above. Someone, no names, handed it down to him and said, "This is what it will be now." And what it was going to be was, now you're going to be able to take them straight, like spaceships, straight down to the planet's surface.
Yeah,
which I don't get. I don't get it.
I don't get it. Maybe they'll engineer supplementation.
It kind of links back to the whole where they started off saying we want specific ships for specific jobs because then we get variety, and then they start bringing in the Vulcan that can do multiple things, and like we feel like things are getting washed as you go down the line where ships are being able to do multi-role. Oh, we need one that can carry cargo and fight and stealth and scan and repair, and it's like, well, you're going away from what you originally said, which is pigeonholing people into roles with specific ships. I don't know. I'm hoping I don't want to go down that road. I quite like having specific ships for things because it gives people more jobs. Because the more you make a ship capable of doing different things, the less you need for other people. And I think Madness hit on this before in terms of, and we're probably going to go into this because of service beacons, but like getting jobs from people. Most people are going to go for. If you're in an organ stuff, you're going to go to people you know to do jobs and missions. It's going to be limited on how much you put that job out to the wider field of people. Compared to just asking your org for escort duties, things like that. If you're in a good org, you're going to be asking them to do it. So yeah, I know it's slightly. I don't want the multi thing all happening.
And actually, Ben Lesnick addressed this a long time ago. Ben Lesnick was a big fan of the start of Wing Commander universe, and in the Wing Commander universe, there was this super fighter called the Excalibur, Wing Commander 3. I believe it may have been in 4. I know it was in Wing Commander 3. And basically had these self-aiming guns on gimbals, and it was just amazing. You can fly circles around any other ship in the game. And it was considered, the Excalibur was considered like a Mary Sue ship. If anybody knows what a Mary Sue is, it's like a self-insert that's good at everything in a riding scenario. And that's kind of what Ben Lesnick confirmed a long time ago, that we don't want Mary Sue ships in Star Citizen, but it does feel like sometimes we're starting to get to the multi-role ships that just do everything. And why would I not have this ship? And because it'll cover the most missions. If someone puts out a mission beacon, going past the trust issues on the mission beacons, we can talk about that later. Going past
something for later.
Well, here's a question to you, because this is just because we're talking about this, about a few ships are coming out. I mean, this is controversial. Some people might think, but is this a case of they're trying to sell as many of the kind of concept, these ships, because they want to try and appeal to those new people to say, hey, guess what? We know you don't want to spend £300, £400, £500 on one single specific ship. But hey, guess what? If you spend £200, you can get this ship that does 3 or 4 different type of roles. And they're trying to maybe encourage, it's about this, right? At the end of the day. And they're just maybe, this is why they're maybe breaking some of their previous kind of rules, I suppose, because they're looking at the dollars. And maybe it could be also because we're about to get ships in game. Because if you've seen the HUDs, they showed us the HUDs recently, and they showed us the Gladius was there, and the ability to buy the Gladius on one of the HUDs, which looked really exciting. I was really excited about it. I was like, damn, that's exciting.
Yep.
And I was just thinking,
I said that to you, this whole changing, them gaining money could well be a sign that we're getting closer to buying ships. Because
I don't necessarily have a problem with multi-role ships, and before a lot of people start shouting and get upset with that, as long as those multi-role ships, while performing a certain role, are nowhere near as good as a ship that's designed specifically for that role, if it makes sense.
Well, yeah. I mean,
and we also have going off of that, and addressing the Vulcan especially. We really don't know how good the Vulcan is going to be, because it may be a loadout system where, hey, I want to be really good at refueling in my Vulcan, so I better take as much fuel as I possibly can. So I got to empty out my entire ship and fill it up with the stuff I need for refueling. I want to do repairs. I want to do resalvaging. The Vulcan may not have much going for it for its multi-role, because it's designed to be. We don't have it in the game. We just assume it's going to be really good at whatever it's designed to do. It can be really good at refueling, or it can be really average. We just don't know, but it does kind of look that way, that CIG definitely is going multi-role. If we're talking about ships, I'm a little bit more upset that it took them this long to make the Hercules, the Starlifter. It was definitely a ship we've needed for a while, just some sort of ship just to transport other vehicles, even before.
Well, again, that's a case of, this is where we had these wonderful arguments about people saying, releasing ships before other things, the Nova tank, for example, that I think it's probably come around partially because of the fact that they sold a big ass tank which had no ships that could carry it. And they're like,
well, Idris, and then the Idris is the only fucking thing.
Carry this, and everyone's going, well, we haven't got anything. There's literally nothing that can carry it at the moment.
Well, the Idris can carry a lot of stuff, but then again, you want to spend, what was it, $1,200 US on a Idris?
Could you imagine
your goddamn $100 tank?
I'm just going to take my Idris out to take my $100 tank just to this location so I can drop it off and fly with the driver around it.
Yeah, no, right?
That's the sort of thing the few would do, but the rest of average people.
He's got 2 javelins,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Do you know what I mean? But that's I'll leave that to Gold Squadron or whatever they're called, Gold Team, to do
Gold
that
Team.
sort of thing.
Gold Team.
Yeah. Although I was saying on my stream earlier
team.
if you legitimately want to be considered gold team, you need to go to Dubai. You need to buy yourself these very thin pieces of gold that they sell often, or you can buy big thick pieces of gold. You just have that in your wallet all the time. Then I'll consider you gold team.
Well, I could do that and actually have like all the logos for Star
Citizen.
No, I can't do that.
Engraved into the gold. Then
what you do is you take your
boys.
You know what damascene is? You take your Star Citizen card and you have it gold foil plated, and then you have all these intricate little designs put on it. Damascene.
Don't even gold foil it. Just get them to cut out and get an actual metal mold made to pour liquid pure gold 24 karat.
That's why you don't have pure gold things.
I'll just go
you're right, yeah.
I'll just go to the bank. I'll get some of those billions out of the bank and just get them to melt it down. Make a chain, a big RSI chain. You know,
gold chain.
Like a Mr. T chain with like.
Yeah. I really imagine that, you know, on his birthday, Chris Roberts walks out of the ensuite bathroom,
big cigar in his mouth,
big balls swinging with his big gold RSI pendant, and
he's definitely not doing the Public Enemy clock because it's broken because he ain't looking at the clock for the proper time. We should all do a big round, like getting money together and send him a massive clock, like big calendar with arrows saying this is the dates that shit needs to be done by.
Fucking savage. Oh, right.
Wow.
Savage.
Oh, man.
So that's the Nox, ladies and
I love
gentlemen.
him though, really.
Yeah.
That is the Nox. We've got a question from Mr. Coffee. He says, are any of you voting with your wallet, or are you just shrugging changes off? What do you mean?
So,
I'm a Hercules debacle. They're Warbond LTI Hercules.
If you watched last week's
talking about?
podcast, we had quite a long discussion on it.
We're not going to go
on
over
YouTube. But
I will.
In short, to answer the question, I mean, I'm not buying any more ships at the moment, but I do think there are quite a few people that I spoke to, at least, that have said they're not buying any more ships because of this sort of change.
I'm gonna say no. I'm not buying any more ships, but it's not necessarily because of this change. Like, just to reiterate what I said last week, I'm just so fed up with the whole LTI conversation at this point. It's been going on for so long that I don't really care anymore. But I'm not buying any more ships because I've got the ships that I always wanted. And like, I don't necessarily want to buy other ships of the same role. And I'm not really that interested in having a ship for dropping off a tank. So,
And that's my opinion too.
The gold.
Yeah.
This is the chat's going crazy about having a gold card. Like, it's been too soft, but then someone's like, "Well, we could pimp it out with diamond-covered casing to keep it in." Like, actually, you know what you should do? You could do even more crazy. Rather than having one, you could have just lots of them, like, you know, business cards, all like gold foil, proper gold foil business cards in a diamond, platinum, whatever case lined. That's what we're talking about here. That's for 25, 50k. If you've invested 50 to 100k, you get that.
They give you
no. You might have invested 50k. You're still going to have to pay about 10k for the card.
Yeah. Plus postage and packaging, another 100k.
Plus postage and packaging. Plus $6.99 postage and packaging.
Oh, don't forget the insurance. It may not show up.
Oh, it comes with LTI. Don't worry, it's fine.
It's just LTI card.
Proof of delivery.
LTI card.
Oh my god.
Just like I've said this before, actually, do you know what? I was talking about this in my stream. I don't mind. Moist is obviously bored with the conversation with LTI, and that's fine. That's absolutely cool. I completely get it. For me, I personally am not. I think it's a good conversation to have because this is slightly different to many of the other LTI conversations.
It's not really an LTI conversation. I think it's more a conversation of how old backers feel like they're getting a little bit shafted. It's
moving goalposts for the old backers.
Yeah.
And this is LTI was just the perk that they're giving away, but it was more.
It's more about the bigger. I think there's a bigger picture there that CIG is kind of changing a few things, and I think people are a bit like, oh, hang on a minute, what's going on? I think LTI, for me, CIG could have done this, handled this a lot better because it's to do with the valuation of people's money and how, you know, a lot of people have gotten a lot of money stored up in store credit or credit where they've melted a lot of their old ships because they're just not going to get them because shit, man, it's going to take ages to get somebody's ships and they're just going, fuck it, I'm just going to melt it. And they're now going, well, I'm losing, I can no longer use this credit. to buy any of the new ships with LTI, which is kind of what we were doing before. I felt CIG could have handled this a lot better. They could have done and said, guess what, guys? They could have maybe waited to do this until we were rolled a bit closer into maybe an anniversary sale, and then said prior to this event, told everybody saying, going forward, we are no longer going to be doing LTI on anything other than Warbond. And then that would but we're going to do a anniversary sale where everything is available. So use your store credit. You get everything now. Yeah. Buy it, whatever you want to do. Buy back whatever you need to do. We're going to open up CCUs. So everybody, and because if they want to clear up this nonsense with CCUing and they want to completely change it, fine, I'm all for it. But you need to give everybody a chance to just sort their shit.
I'll agree with you.
Can I inject something? The reason when I think I was on the podcast, I said I was 80% in CIG's defense and 20% against them. I'm actually Madness, you've actually convinced me. I'm now 50-50 on this deal. And the biggest thing that swung me over between this, what are the first 3 stretch goals on the RSI website? The very first one, 2.5 million frequent community updates. The second one is the Gladius. The third one is enhanced community updates. Where was our memo on this change? That's what's really kind of pissed me off about this. It's just like, where's the community management here? Who's out there informing of these changes, so that those of us who maybe for some weird reason have hundreds of dollars or pounds in store credit, so we can use them? Because it may not be much of a devaluation, but it is devaluation of store credit. I agree.
I really don't think the community managers do what most of us think they do.
Yeah.
I really had my eyes opened around BritizenCon time, and yeah.
You'd like to think they would be permanently in Twitch and always engaging with us. But I think that my biggest thing was I think the CIG Olaf, I think his name was, he came out and said you don't need to buy the ships if you don't need to. Oh my god, I was like, dude, you just literally put petroleum on a fire. I was like, it was just like,
I mean, you want to sell ships or do you want to tell people to fuck off? I mean, just like, what the fuck? You don't like the deal? I could tell people to eat shit on my stream. I could tell them to fuck off. I could be the toxic motherfucker for you. Shit. Like, I could do that. Like, I do that for you daily. I don't know. Oh my god. Whatever. Yeah. Let's move on.
Yeah, no, we've had the conversation. We don't want to go on, but that's just my
watch
view.
Last week's episode on YouTube.
Yeah.
We had a really nice conversation about it all.
Yeah.
Although Tuteman didn't agree with a thing we said, apparently.
Yeah,
that's all right. You don't like it, Tuteman? Piss off. No, I'm just kidding. He's a very nice bloke.
Yeah.
Supports us a lot. Don't piss off. It's fine.
We love our patrons. But we are...
Support our patrons.
We take the piss out of each other, so be prepared. That's the whole point of the thing. No, it's called the Asylum for a reason.
We have another question. Have you voted for Jay Lee to Austin? Even if you aren't going, you should.
That's from Phantom Killer. I know.
Phantom Killer.
Where do I vote?
It's on Spectrum. Phantom, check a link in chat, please.
Someone throw the link.
We're trying to show CIG that we want Jay Lee at Austin.
See, the reason I won't vote for that is because I feel like I'm showing obvious favoritism to one individual just because they've been on Twitch, whereas there's a lot of dudes there that work really hard who should probably deserve. Like Pritchett with the Grav Lev system, he's already well up there on my list as potentially saving the day. He's worked super hard. That bunker looks like get out of the bunker and come and meet us all, and we can all say what a great job he's done. So I would feel very dirty if I just voted for Jay Lee.
It's a bit of fun. Madness. It's a bit of fun.
But
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Fun. This is Star Citizen.
You could put him in a different. Can you imagine him coming into the office every day and be like, "Oh, look, here's the favorite child.
Oh, here's the one everybody loves.
Everyone loves this guy." You know, and then he's suddenly, next thing you know, he's like,
he's community manager.
Yeah, exactly.
I wanted to draw, and you bastards have made me community manager because you love me. It's not fair.
It's okay. It's okay, Madness. Bunson's just added the command to your bot, so you don't have to worry about it.
Oh my god.
Thanks, Bunsen. We're having words later. Thanks, Bunsen. No, and I'm only joking, but yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, we'll go vote.
Yeah,
I love
go vote. Definitely.
Although
such enthusiasm.
He did the light armor. And I would like to vote. If I could go, maybe vote for him to come to the London one, if it's, or Manchester one next year, wherever it is next year. So I can go over there and just have a few words privately, maybe a chokehold involved, just to say, what have you done to the light armor? Because I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what anyone else thinks, but the legacy light armor, like I'm not a fan of the changes to the legacy light. The medium is great. It looks good. I think it's a big improvement. But the light one, I don't mind the Schroll too much. But the glass, and then it looks like a robot now. I think I've got a picture of it.
Like all the legacy Marine armors to me kind of look very derivative. They almost looks like the Doom Marine or the Quake Marine. Yeah. It's just, I think the legacy outlaw armors look much better in comparison.
Yeah, maybe they can change the color. Number 43 and number 44. There's the new one versus the old one there, yeah. And so I just kind of like brought it up just so you can kind of see the helmets, just to compare the helmets first of all. But the whole armor, there's a video as well of it scrolling from ATV, and I was like, I just saw it and I was just disappointed because, you know, it looks cool and I think it looks like a really nice piece of armor, but it doesn't feel to me like it's the legacy armor, you know, like what it was before.
That's the outlaw. That's the legacy light outlaw.
Yeah, which is the light one. That's what I mean. Yeah. The light one, if you see the previous one that we had, which I enjoyed, which I like.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's cool, but it's not what
I don't like the pointed chin. It's very like Egyptian pharaoh.
I don't dislike it.
Actually, you know, I talked about this on my stream. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the Raiden jaw from Metal Gear Solid Rising: Revengeance. If anyone remembers that, he had this cyborg jaw where it had like teeth and stuff in it, and it just looked like mechanical. That's what kind of reminds me.
He keeps going down and down into a straw so he can have a drink. That's all it is.
There you go.
But if you bring up number 40, I think it's the old one, which is 43. If you bring it just to compare, because you've got the new one there, just to compare what the previous one, which is where this is. Sorry. It's okay. So you can kind of can we flick between the two. I'll put them next to each other or whatever. I don't care. You can see them next to each other. And we can have a conversation about, you know, because we're losing the other one because that's not staying. This one's replacing.
They're going away.
And and I understand they have to go away because they need to change because of the item 2.0 and all the rest of it. But again, there's just something really like this. Like when you see you can't really. It just looks better.
It just looks better. I think
I prefer the old one as well.
Yeah, I did prefer the legacy, the old light one. I didn't much care for the heavy helmet though. All the tubes everywhere. It's just
yeah. But the new samurai heavy on is kind of, again, it leaves me kind of going, I love the idea of what he's doing, but I would like to see that whole styling from light to medium to heavy with that styling rather than suddenly just a heavy samurai looking armor. It just seems weird to me at the moment.
But isn't that that was kind of meant to be the point though, is you see that styling going through. That's why it's the legacy armor, because it's meant to be kind of, it is meant to be linked. Whether we see it in the long run, I don't know. But
I don't see any kind of samurai things in the light or the medium that they've just done. It just feels like there's like literally a different designer's designed the heavy one, and then a different designer's designed the medium one, and a different designer's designed the light one. Now, again, with the new modular system, maybe that's not a bad thing. I did make a note of it to say, I always counter myself when I talk as well. It's like, maybe with this new modular, maybe bits of the armor will look better. You know, maybe we're not going to be meant to be designing full shell suits like in the 1980s, you know, with the Adidas stripes, bottoms and shoes, and the whole thing matches. Maybe, you know, the whole point is that maybe I just want to take the shoulder strap, or maybe I just want to take a bit of the helmet. Or
the whole
the
glass thing on the helmet as well, like it doesn't seem to make sense why you would have the glass come right up there. Because
if you look at the eyes, it's literally a hole in the armor.
Yeah,
the eyes are actually cut out, and they actually have the light.
In law, glass is stronger than steel. So
it's not glass;
it's got that
reinforced poly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it's like transparent aluminum or diamond or something.
So why not just have it all glass?
Well, they do.
Everybody wants to see your junk. That's why, Miz. Okay.
Full glass.
Some people do. All right. Have you not played Age of Conan? Some people do.
Oh my god!
All the way up.
The birthday spacesuit. The birthday spacesuit. Where
it's all about that donga slider.
It's all transparent.
Welcome to the naturalist world, where you can everyone can wander around in full naked glass space.
No, when I said that, I kind of meant the helmet. Why not have that all glass rather than the metal that is?
Yeah, I just realized
I know what
he was talking
dreaming
about
about.
space nudists. I was like, oh, the entire spacesuit. Okay.
I
wasn't on about the entire spacesuit.
I mean, just have your balls pressed up against the glass. Why not? Just smushed.
Yeah. So
I've got the vision. I've got the vision in my head now.
Like,
Thanks, Vertigo.
You're welcome.
The
have a
game
glass,
is delayed.
a polycarbonate glass cod piece. We're going back. We're going back to the days of Shakespeare. We're gonna make cod piece jokes.
Oh, darling, is that a hamster? Oh, that's not a hamster. Oh my god.
But at least it would make security checks a lot quicker. Are you carrying anything? Well, just this one piece. Just this one piece.
Don't worry.
One piece.
Can you please put your hands up? Oh my god.
I'll never look at a hamster ball the same way ever again. Thank you.
That's what we should name the cod piece, the hamster's ball.
God. Oh my goodness me.
This is why we're called the
Making
Asylum.
my eyes. This is why we call it the Asylum. Making my eyes.
What were you talking about? We were talking about hamsters before that. We were talking about
we were just talking about
like some armor. How the fuck did we start talking about hamsters?
Did we schedule Vertigo for next week as well? Let me just check that.
Regular.
He's regular now.
I think we got Matt.
I think he hasn't signed the contract yet. It's regular.
He hasn't signed the contract.
Madness just handing out contracts, handing out. Yes, he can be
on toilet paper, obviously.
On toilet paper.
Yes. So no, that was the light armor. Like I said, I want to see the medium is good. I think good. That's just my opinion. Obviously, other people different. But the light, it didn't feel as good as the original, and I was a bit disappointed. The next thing is I don't know if anyone's noticed, but the Chinese have already got an 890 virtual reality set up. 25. This is for Moist, because Moist got a cease and desist order for some cards.
It wasn't a cease and desist order. It was just them giving me a firm backhand. But
you kind of backtracking. You said it was a cease and desist before many times.
It was them telling me to stop.
So that's a cease.
That's cease. But not desist. It's just cease part.
It wasn't cease and desist.
I'm trying to make it seem less kind of harsh.
Okay. So just the stop bit. There wasn't
just the stop bit. There's no cease. It's just desist.
I'll shut up.
Okay. But yeah, so this is China has already got the 890 jump. We haven't got it yet, unfortunately. But if you go to China, you can put your VR headset on, and there it is for you right now. Which is, I was like, damn, that is like crazy.
That's sweet. That's sick.
I was like, that's multi-crewing right there. Get the seat next to each other. What the hell, CIG?
The back corner of that
genuine
picture
copy
as well. Oh, you can't see it on stream. It's like, even that looks like one of the. It's got the yellow stripe like from the hanger. They've even got. I think they've got more material from starters and not just that picture.
What I love is that they didn't even bother to airbrush out Origin on the side of the logo. They just kept it in.
Or
They're just like,
I know.
Or any of
890.
I don't think the chairs look immersive enough.
I don't know. What do you think? When you
did you talk about the chairs she's
coming out of the chairs and everything?
Yeah, it's a bit. I wouldn't want to go on that. I feel a bit. I genuinely feel a bit terrified if I went into a Chinese genuine copy VR. I'd be worried that all of me was going to come back.
It looks like an electric shock chair, actually.
It's got the wires and straps and whatnot.
What they're not saying is actually this is where you get brainwashed. But when we move on. So that was quite fun. And then just going through Reddit stuff. This is really cool. This is somebody talked about a face tracking for your smartphone, which is interesting. We've talked about VoIP before, and we've talked about apps and stuff for phones and the ability to maybe, link your game experience with tablets, or maybe you could have it for extra monitors or HUDs or just all sorts of crazy stuff that we all think and hope will come along the line. But with VoIP being VoIP is going to be in the next patch, isn't it? 3.2. Is that the plan, or is it 3.3?
I think it's 3.2. 3.3.
I was wondering.
3.3, I think.
Was it 3.3 now?
I think so. I'm pretty sure it was always 3.3.
It's coming.
I'll check.
This year, anyway. It's going to be here before, hopefully, the end of this year. I was wondering, people, they were saying about smartphones and creating VoIPs, which then got me thinking, about, Miz actually touched on it earlier as well, is about player-made contracts and player-made gameplay. And then this got me then thinking again, was like, if you could create, players have their foips, and you could kind of like black them out or do like really cool voices, and people, you see the voice apps. You could do like, the game Mass Effect, and we have the Shadow Broker. I don't know if anyone here played Mass Effect and the Shadow Broker. Do you ever remember that?
Yeah.
Okay, so imagine, rather than they're having NPCs that create missions for players, you have players who can become like shadow brokers and all the rest of it, and their whole game experience is role play in a way, but they set up the missions for people to go and do, and they can create story threads and things using the missions that CIG, the subsumption missions, and they can have like the shadow broker kind of like delves into all different types of things, and you could kind of like create really cool immersive, far more immersive gameplay than even NPCs can do, because humans just are more crazy and can do cool things. I was just thinking like that. I was just thinking, and you got the camera, so people could do it from their work, and they could do like they can see it, and they can do VoIP on their phones, and like you don't actually have to have a computer. You can still shadow broker, as it were, from your phone anywhere in the world, as long as you've got the internet. It'd be kind of cool.
Madness is literally feature creeping right now for Chris Roberts.
Sorry, by the way.
Yeah, I know. I was just getting it just got me thinking about like no one played Mass Effect.
I played Mass Effect.
I wouldn't get your hopes up too much about it though. I mean, the ATV and talking about the service beacon thing, Majigga. They did, one of the questions was actually asking, will we be able to have our own text in there so that we can make, because like other games MMOs have done it, and they were just like, well, we kind of talked about it, then we're not talking about it now, but they kind of brushed it off as if to say that it's not going to happen because we'd have to monitor it. So this was also a thing as well. They kind of said that it would be hard to filter out for the younger players out there. So that makes me think that, because we're wondering about like the age of Star Citizen and what they're going to pin it as, but it sounds like they're now going to aim it towards a younger audience. Because
which is concerning, because we're an older audience. It's an older audience.
I don't know why, but that's exactly his words in the ATV or RTV, one of the two, was basically that. He said because they can't monitor it. Plus, there's lots of other logistics why they wouldn't do it. But that was one of the reasons why. And he's saying because
I know why.
People will put that in the chat. Like obviously the swear filter and everything else.
The reason the publishers go for it is for the sales, obviously. So they clearly go for the sales, but they don't necessarily have to go for the sales. It's
Deadpool done's pretty good, and that was targeted.
That's what I mean. I wish they hadn't, because normally when you do aim for that sort of audience, you have to. So what was it? There was another game recently that did that, and I think it was Elder Scrolls actually, and they tried to get it a younger audience, and they got refused. So they went, you know what, sod it, we're gonna make it so that there's blood and gore or whatever, because if we're not going to get that rating, then it's not. It would hinder our game, so they didn't bother with it. And I think it could hinder this game if that's really what they're aiming for.
Grand Theft Auto.
I've seen kids
walking around shops with Grand Theft Auto under their arm at age about 7
going,
guess what, I got the latest Grand Theft Auto game. Because they want to be part of the cool kids, and the parents are just like, irresponsible or not irresponsible, depends what you think. And they just get the game for them, and it's like, well, if it's a cool game, it doesn't matter sometimes about the age banding. It's just like, they'll still play the game, or eventually play the game. So,
but I think it's a really stupid thing for them to aim for if that's what they're going to go and do. Because, and also like having like other MMOs, like I said, have done this. Create your own text, create your own missions, and it's really not an issue. Like you get a few idiots that put dirty words in. Into the text chat, but really it wears thin and people don't read it if they're not interested. It wouldn't last long. But I think
in-game FOIP. So you don't think people are going to swear in in-game FOIP? You don't think people
in-game communications are not part of the rating.
Yeah, and online interactions are not rated by the...
Exactly. There we go.
But it's a cop-out in a way. But it's like, well...
Because you know how ratings work? I actually went to a symposium years ago from the British Rating Board. I forget what they call it. But it's not any one thing. It's a whole series of things. Right. So, like, for example, swearing. For example, they could look at Squadron 42 and they will literally count how many times the word fuck is used, how many times the word shit is used. Depending on the amount of times they're used, it puts it into a certain category. Nudity, violence,
so
whether blood is used,
but not...
etc, etc. Yeah, exactly. So crap is fine, bitch is fine, but fuck and the C word, like, those are, they're put into their own little ratings, you know. So yeah, it's very insane.
I've always assumed that Star Citizen was going to be at least like a T rating, T for teen rating or higher. I mean, like, you go to, like, you play, like, here's a little piece of minutia for those of you who play Star Marine. If you go into Echo 11, there's actually, in Elimination, there's actually a strip club in Echo 11. There's a neon little stripper pole with some handcuffs and some discarded clothes around the pole. And we've discussed this before. There's vices discussed in Star Citizen: alcohol, drug use, widow, L-Trucian toxin. You can smuggle that stuff. I think they even mentioned sex bots being a commodity you can trade in.
So how are they going to manage space weed then in the game? If Chris Roberts says we wanted to sell space weed, it's like we're not doing space weed now.
No, I thought they said yes, you can grow drugs in the Endeavor.
Well, I mean, unless his comment was just he said it, but I don't know. Maybe it's something that's been bandied around the office, and it's not. I mean, it was only one person's comment on it, but it was just it was just one of the excuses not to have custom missions. I know there was other ones, and like someone just said in chat they didn't want you to tell from it. I know there was others, but I'm just saying that was one. But I also don't think, although they didn't want to be able to tell the difference between an NPC and a player, I still think that it would be nice that even if you. Why can't you have a separate category that is player-driven missions, and you know it's what difference does it make? What's wrong with it knowing it? And you're going to know it's a player anyway because you've got this star rating. Your NPC's not going to have a star rating, so I still don't get that either, because
I think
if
they will.
An NPC's going to give a quest, it's not going to say, "Oh, this NPC's 4 stars," because you're not going to rate well, I doubt you're going to rate an NPC.
I think NPCs will have baked-in reputation, though.
Yeah, EVE Online, all the NPCs have reputations, so it wouldn't surprise me.
Like the NPCs can have a 4-star reputation, and they'll have like a 40.
But you think you're going to review an NPC, whether it's
probably
no? They had Vertigo said.
But that's what I'm saying. But you're going to know that it's not an NPC when you can't review them afterwards.
Yeah. I
don't know. I mean, I just think it's.
Well, I think if when you approach a character in the game, I think it'll be pretty obvious quite early on whether they're a player or not. But I think the idea is when Chris Roberts was saying you're not going to be able to tell, I think he meant at a glance. Yeah. You know, when there's a crowd of people, it's not going to be obvious who's a player and who's an NPC.
Worrying about whether a mission is set by an NPC or not, it's not. I don't think it's an issue personally. I know when I suppose I'm from MMO, so everything's been an NPC that gives you a mission. So to have some player missions, like in Star Trek Online, or is it Neverwinter, they have where you can actually make DM and make your own missions for it that people can join in, and it just puts it under a different category, saying this is player created content, and then all those missions were rated in the player content. So you knew what you were joining and everything else. And then the ones that did really well actually ended up getting backing from the official game people and being featured. Like, I don't know, to me that's encouraging people to work together more, encouraging storytelling and thinking and more missions, which would benefit them rather than standardized text.
I think I may have an excellent explanation about why they don't want to let players make their own missions, because just like you said, you'd be able to tell. Chris Roberts kind of wants to make this very cohesive universe where you're not there, and you brought it up excellent point where you had player generated content and it was separate from everything. People, and you see this come up a lot of times in Spectrum, where people start saying they want to be separate from each other. You don't want the role players in with the PvP. You don't want the Care Bears in with the griefers. Everybody wants to have their own little cliques and separation. Chris Roberts, I think, is really, really, really trying hard to bring everybody together and try to make a cohesive game with everybody in it. And I think if you had the ability to tell at a glance that this mission I just got on Spectrum was from a player, you'd probably say, nope.
I don't think we will see missions as in they will have like a full-on storyline. I think the whole point of I think there'll be player missions, but in terms of what we have at the moment,
moment,
beacons, you know, I think that's the idea. Oh, you want this target killed? That's absolutely fine. Give me 100,000 alpha UEC, and I will kill.
Yeah,
you know,
but
whoever.
Don't you think
so bounties? That's putting a bounty on someone. Don't you think that's going to
kind of get boring because every text is going to be the same because it's going to be cookie cutter text, but with your name and the other person's name.
No,
in
because
it and things, so...
because there'll be shit tons of other stuff to do in the game. I don't necessarily think that you will just be doing one beacon after another all night long. You know, you start. Yeah. I'm under no illusion that if I have to kill what's his name, the head of tests, for example. Sorry, I forgot your name if you're watching. I know he's watching. It's not gonna take me 20 minutes to do it. It might take me like 8 hours. It might take me 2-3 days. You know, so no, I don't think it'll necessarily get boring. Just
and you assume that the player base is going to be using the beacon system to generate all missions. I mean, I can easily just hit call somebody on like TeamSpeak or Discord or Mumble or whatever team, or you can just send a message over IRC, say, hey, kill this guy, I'll give you 1,000 credits. And then suddenly it happens, and then suddenly 1,000 credits gets transferred.
There'll be a shit ton of off
beacon missions.
Off-beacon combat missions between. It'll happen. I mean, they don't want to. They don't. Chris Roberts and that lot. They don't want it to happen because they don't want to have what's called, the illegal, what's called kill sheets that people talk about.
But they don't even
when
want
you're in the
to
world of PvP,
out of context voice chats and shit. So
no, they don't. I know exactly. They don't want to, but that's the thing.
And I still feel it's taking a big chunk of player creativity out of it. But that's just my opinion. It's like, I get what you're all saying with you're not going to necessarily always follow a beacon, but if you're a bounty hunter, then that's generally what you're going to be doing, is going from bounty to bounty. And if your text is always, I've set this much and it cost this much, go kill him, with no story context, it's kind of boring.
Yeah. I firmly believe, and I agree with Scythe, one of the persons says in chat, Scythiel says, player-created content is some of the best content, and I firmly agree with it. I think it's more rich.
That's what I'm saying, but we're not going to have it, so...
Yeah, because I hate to say it. I know what he's saying, Miz. But if think about real life, right? There are bounty hunters in real life. It sounds super dramatic, but their mission cheats are no more than just a wanted poster, which are exactly the same every time. You know, it's like, I know that you really like the idea of having this sort of story-driven thing. I'm assuming that's what you're meaning. But I'm sure there will be story-driven encounters and missions that you're able to do, given by NPCs. But you can go and do those if you want. I'm assuming.
Yeah, the beacon is just the paperwork coming in. That's what it is. It's a sheet of paper. Everything that the target, how you take the target down, how you take the target in. That's where the real interesting gameplay. The sheet of paper you read for the mission. That's never going to be interesting in any game you ever play. And Chris, like I said, I'm going to reiterate that Chris Roberts does not want you to be able to tell that a mission was either generated by the machine or by a player. He wants you to bring it all. He doesn't want you to have the ability to ignore player-generated content. He doesn't want that separation to be there. He doesn't want people to go, well, this obviously a player generated this one. Nope.
On top of that, I don't get that either, though, because then at the same time, like even in the discussion about the beacon, so I'll get what you're saying about the story. I'm not going on about it, but in terms of not wanting you to know whether it's a player or not, but then they want the players to build up reputation and have a star rating. So surely you want to know who you're employing on your beacon or whose job you're taking from, because of whether they've got reputation. So you need to know whether you're getting it from a player or not.
Yeah, I think in some aspects it will be really fucking obvious, because you're going to have these sort of really dramatic story arcs from the people like Ruto in the game, and it's friggin' obvious that Ruto is not a player, you know. But yeah, I think it will be. I don't think it matters what they do. I think we will be able to tell.
That would be cool, though. Like, if they could make type of people, like, this is what I was saying about the shadowy broker thing. I know we're saying you can't do it, but I think it would be cooler if they could. Chris Roberts wants to make it so that you don't know if they're a human or not. If they did have that game mechanic, like I was saying with the FOIP or whatever, where you could create a scenario where they're enabling players to take up the mantle of almost like NPCs and create and select missions for people to go off and do. That would be freaking awesome.
Player-generated content. For like Ruto or something.
Completely agree with you. However, there are limitations. a webcam. In order for FOIP to work, ideally you need a 60 FPS webcam. In order for a 60 FPS webcam to work, you need amazing lighting like this. Otherwise, you're stuck at around 30 FPS. So the FOIP part of it is always going to look janky as hell. On top of that, not everybody has an SM7B. Not everybody has the microphone that you have. So it's going to be friggin' obvious through the audio whether
here's my fix.
They're a player or not.
For you. Okay. So when this game is finished, and when we're talking, this is a bit of theory crafting and thinking about finish. When this game is finished, we will still have subs, or potentially they could have subs. What if those subs were used to pay for a team of real people who actually, like a bit like an Evo Carti, whose job within Star Citizen is to be those NPC kind of content creator people. Their job every day, they get paid a salary, whatever it is.
I think that'd be amazing.
And they are making up the Ritos, the people, and they are doing all that. That's their job.
That is what the GMs and the community managers did in EVE Online. They would literally play NPCs in the game sometimes, like when there were big like story arc live events, which I thought was friggin' awesome.
I like that idea. Ship it.
Well, this has actually been brought up before, because I remember having a conversation, and one of the devs said about, I think it may have even been one of the prison con or something. Anyway, I asked one of them, it's like, will they ever play NPCs as part of this, to help a story or to bring a story to life? And they kind of said no. I mean, this was a long time ago, so they may change their mind, but they just said no. We're not going to.
Can you imagine Ready Player One? Can you imagine if they had some sort of competition in the game, and you had like a top 10 players within the game, and can you imagine, because we're going to be able to watch channels live in the game, and can you imagine the reaction of the entire player base? Can you imagine the reaction of the entire gaming community if the player over FOIP says something, or the person in first place, as they're winning the game, they say something to that NPC, and the NPC actually reacts and responds to them?
Legitimately responds like an actual person.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
That would be amazing. Like, yes, I would love that to happen.
And says his name, his actual character name, says congratulations, you have won the top prize or whatever. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
All that shit.
Because
cool.
like something similar. It's not actually. It's not. Well, it's kind of cool. But when they did the and I don't want to trigger people. What's it called? That game, that Sean Murray, that game.
No Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky. Recently, when they were doing more of a marketing push around that, and they were doing a lot of the social media marketing, and they were getting people to go to like airports. Like somebody actually went to an airport because they worked out that they had to be at an airport at a time and a place, and somebody dressed like a special agent walked up to them and did a load of RP stuff and gave them physical stuff, and like that sort of stuff is really freaking cool. Just like, think outside. We need to think outside the box a little bit and just.
I think so too. I think, or even not even to say, I just think they need to if you want to make this game, like if you want to create the illusion in the world of like, you don't know if it's an NPC or a real person, you got to start throwing real people in. You got to start
so often,
not know if this is going to be a real person. This is a real person because you suddenly, you're 1 minute you're talking to a real person, then you're talking to an NPC, then the NPC might then send you to a real person. And then that person's then real, and then that person then sends you to an NPC, and then that NPC sends you to another NPC, then that NPC sends you to a real person again or something. I mean, I know, yes, 2-to-1, you make a valid point. Obviously, you've got a limited finite number of people and all this stuff. I completely agree. I understand that. Again, we still have yet to see what they're going to do with servers. I mean, other games obviously have, role play servers and things like that. I don't want that. I'm not saying I want that at all. I want one big server everyone plays. But there might be a case of if they can't do it and the technology is not there, they could create specific servers for these type of scenarios. So if going into here, there's a very strong chance you're going to be talking to real people, doing all the missions are human made by fans or people or whatever, Chris is a big fan of the modding community. So
even just a step away from that a little bit in terms of missions, I think it was about a year ago when they were talking about how long it takes to turn around a mission. And they mentioned on an ATV a long time ago, they were really starting to nail the production pipeline in terms of missions. And from when they start writing the script for a mission, all the way through to actually programming it and getting the actors in to record stuff. They could literally pump out a mission per day, you know, and that was something like a year ago. So, like, I am under no illusion that we're going to have plenty of missions, but I think it'll be fairly obvious to work out whether we're getting missions from players or NPCs, but maybe that's just me being a little bit cynical.
I honestly don't. I think them trying to make it not noticeable is a waste of time. In some ways, I think they're probably going to put more effort in trying to make it that way rather than just accepting. Like, no other game have I played where people have gone, I don't want to do this mission, it's a bloody NPC mission. And the same way as people don't go, I don't want to do this mission, it's a player-driven mission. And like I've gone back to it, the whole fact that we're going to have a rating and the star rating, I really don't see the point, because we're all going to be rated, and then you're going to say this person cheated on me. And I mean, they had a whole discussion on RTV about it, saying how they want these ambushes to happen, they want these fake beacons to be put down, and all that's going to. And then they said, well, what's the punishment for the griefing on that? And they said, well, that's part of it. You're going to give feedback that that player has put that beacon down, and then you got griefed after it. So that context, at least, it's obvious that it's not an NPC. It's obvious it's a player. So I don't quite get this whole wanting it to not. I get what Moise is saying in terms of on foot, or if you see them flying about, you can't tell that it's at a glance. You can't tell that it's a player or whatever. That's fine. I get that. But when it comes to actually taking missions and doing missions, you're probably going to be pretty stupid if you don't realise what the difference is. So don't work too hard in trying to make it one. Just accept that players will have missions and NPCs will have missions. It's easier. But that's my point.
Next, that's fine. I mean, again, for people like is the title? I fixed the title. I think I fixed the title. Yes, that was my fault. I should have known. Seeing as I'm hosting and streaming tonight, I should have known. My bad. Yeah, in terms of some people like saying about theory crafting, I think it was Mr. Coffee who was saying about we want lots of stuff. We do want lots of stuff, like everyone. We do a bit of theory crafting on the show here and there. We talk about things we like. At the end of the day, they're doing such a good job at the moment this year with dropping stuff. I feel quite comfortable to have a little bit of throws of theory crafting and things we want thrown in, because why not? Why not put some ideas out there? You never know. CIG might pick up on it and go.
A lot of us that are playing and backing it now are kind of seeing this as the game that they really want to play and play for a long time. So of course everybody's going to want what they find cool from other games in this game. Yeah. So the want list from everybody is going to be huge, because it's like, oh, I want this to do this. I enjoyed in another game, and I want it to do this, which I enjoyed in this game, and I want it all. We're all going to want it.
Who says that somebody in this chat right now isn't a game developer for another game, or isn't a game developer he's thinking about building a game, or has a kid who's watching it, who's being inspired by this, thinking, do you know what, that would be a cool game, and or I could make it, simplify it, and take a bit of this, and then you just never know. There could be something we say could trigger some young mind to use a coder and create something very simple that takes it and blows it out of the water, and you'll be like, holy fuck. And then he goes, yeah, I was watching the Asylum podcast where these guys were saying something really cool, and I made this game. Not that they would, but you never know. That kind of thing.
A very young Chris Roberts is currently writing down all these ideas, and then in 20 years' time or 30 years' time, he's going to jump into a time machine and then go back in time.
You never know. You never know. You never know. But it's all about having some ideas. So, I've got a few other things, but I don't really think we can go over ATV if you like, Miz, and some of the other.
Well, ATV and RTV is all about the service beacons, basically. I mean,
there was the cool effects that we saw, which was pretty cool, wasn't
there was only a couple of interesting-ish points. So there was these, which was just the cool alien blowing up effect things.
Which I thought was nice.
It's nice. Looks nice.
A little way
the Xeon stuff.
It's nice to see that they obviously doing some different effects for the alien ships as well, rather than just keeping all the same.
We just need more alien ships now.
We do need more alien ships. Please, come on. All the alien stuff.
Come on, we need more of them, more than we need the human ones.
Yeah, next concept going to be Alien.
Blades.
Oh, we gotta get the current alien concept ships out there first.
Yeah.
Well, how many Well, we got Defender, the Bounty Merchantman, a few of the Vandal ships. Obviously, the Blades coming in the next patch, which I'm excited to see.
We have the entire Vandal race to flesh out.
All the Vandal stuff.
Yeah.
Which they must have a lot of stuff on that ready to go by now.
Well, we know the Driller's almost ready.
Yeah. So, and then you've got the Tavaran. They've got the Prowler, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think
But they've only got the Prowler. Is it only the Prowler, or is it another one of the Cathol? Cathol, is that Xion? The Cathol.
There's
Xion.
that's the Cartual. That's the Xion Scout.
Yeah.
There's the Terravan, Xion, and who's the other alien race? The Zandil. Banyo.
Yeah.
But
So
I
we've got
think
many,
half the
really.
reason we're not with this sort of staying concept is because they said they can't make the ship until they flexed. No.
Flesh out the races.
That's the one I was on. Fleshed out the races. That's the word I was looking for.
That's why I'm here.
Blank.
So do you think? Because they've shown us obviously the concept artwork for the aliens, or the aliens, the race, the few of the races. We know obviously the Vandal. They must be pretty close to finishing the dudes themselves because we've seen a few of them. So we've still got. I don't know. I'm excited. Is all I'm thinking. I want to see them as quickly as possible. I'm really impatient on the aliens.
Well, there's a couple of things that would be really. I mean, I suppose there's lots of things that'd be really nice, but the things to make a little bit of interest in the verse is like the. So we saw this on ATV, which is like the greenery on planets, and actually starting to have a planet with some biomes and storms and effects. And then the other thing would be fleshing out some actual aliens and stuff rather than just seeing humans everywhere. It'd be kind of nice to see that. I'm looking forward. I know it's not going to be anytime soon, but I'm looking forward to those couple of things coming in the game. To be honest.
Quite frankly, all I want is to walk out of my room in Port Olisar and not have like 5 dudes just staring at a wall. That would be nice.
Just leaning there going, I know what you got up to last night.
I've never had that problem, Moist. I don't know what it is. They must.
It's probably that you haven't noticed it, to be fair, but I've noticed it.
Usually, if somebody was there, the first thing would be to shoot them all if you could. That would be the first thing.
I'm assuming it's when the subsumption engine crashes or something like that.
Yeah.
And they just don't know what to do anymore and go back to a
jump on
default
the same path.
point.
It's like,
Touch wood.
So the other thing we had was just a little bit more of an update on the truck stops. I mean, I find some of these ATVs, they're kind of rehashing stuff that we already knew because it's like, I suppose, they've progressed a bit, so they're just telling us they've progressed a bit.
A lot of these ATVs are generally for people who want to get updated on stuff.
Yeah, this is quite nice. The hangar, though, I was interested to see these flying. So we're getting to see a lot more drones. So they've got flying, like repair drones. I thought that looked kind of cool.
I think with the hangar thing, I just like seeing life in the hangar, people being in there. It's awesome.
I think I put that on the document. That's what they were saying in the ATV, that they were trying to create more of an atmosphere on these stations. And when I saw that video, I thought, you're getting there. That to me felt like a nice active hangar with things going on. You can actually imagine being there and seeing this ship being repaired or whatever. So I really like that. I love the progress on that.
I love the cargo drones though, because that's how you're gonna have to unload your ships from now on, maybe.
And it's things like, when the game is out and you're going to have AI in the hangar and you'll have like people coming in to repair whatnot. You could have like a guy repairing something in a corner, and the paranoid part of me will be like, are you actually here to try and plant a bomb on my ship?
If I nudge you,
it's things like that I look forward to.
And the outside of the truck stops as well again looking really nice.
And the thing that I was really pleased to hear about that is that they're waiting for branding from the UI team, I think it was, in terms of because a while ago I remember seeing a job advertised and they were specifically looking for somebody to design branding for companies within the game. And I just love the idea of seeing all these just different corporate logos all over certain stations. I think that's going to be amazing.
Yeah. I think
100%, 100%.
Well, we did talk about it before, didn't we? About in terms of should they have like real world branding. But I think if you've got someone that's actually working on branding and creating stuff in game, that's going to be really cool because you're going to get someone that's doing the job that knows what they're doing to actually get these iconic brands. And I think it would be nice to have some iconic brands in game that you recognise as you're flying along, and you might go to a certain place to. I mean, it may go as far as certain companies repair better than better reputation again. So you might go to a certain manufacturer's repair station or whatever, which would be cool.
We've already spoke. There's a company you make EVE Online at the moment, and speaking of branding, there's a brand of drink in EVE Online called Quaif, and I'm pretty sure that a few years ago they actually brought out a Quaif themed ship. Which, like, if I could have, like, say they brought out Coca-Cola in the game, but as in an in-game, I'd love to have like an ice cream van. That's basically what I'm saying. That'd be amazing.
Secret investors, there they are. Coca-Cola, all these brands that suddenly appear. These are all these secret investors that we've been wondering about. We're like, oh, there's Coca-Cola in the game. Oh, Nike's in the game. Oh, Walmart's in the game. Walmart. Oh my god. Oh, secret investors. How did this happen? Oh, that explains a few things.
So. No. Finally.
Oh yes, we get to talk about this.
Ah, greenery
oh
in
god,
the
yes.
planet. Look, and in the background, which you can't see, like there is actually green hills and things in the background on it.
Someone did
it actually reminds me of Seattle around here. Like you get nice Cascade foothills, all evergreens.
Please tell me you have the photoshopped screenshot that somebody posted on
World of Warcraft or something. Someone put World of Warcraft on the Warcraft. Yeah, I
Warcraft too.
It wasn't as good as it could have been. But they just put the encampment
in that little gap
on the gap bit, and it looks pretty funny.
Now there were quite a few people criticizing the fidelity of the trees, and I'm pretty and a hell of a lot of movies. In fact, pretty much every modern movie that you see, they use speed tree for the CGI. I'm pretty sure that's like the default trees from speed tree there, and they've even shown off like alien style trees that they've been working on in the past. So
default
calm
trees.
your tits, guys.
And it even
like,
says
it will get better.
Let me put in the video. Work in progress.
Progress.
And it's large-scale forest rendering, so it's got nothing to do with the tree, other than they were testing how it renders in. So it didn't need all these fancy, different-looking trees. It was literally just this is how a forest loads in. We want to test the rendering of it. So
it's like the golf swing all over again.
And I saw a lot of people criticizing the pop-in as well. Now, if you think back to when we first got the moons,
the test.
As we were flying into the moons,
that's using the same technology, the trees, and that is from back in when ages ago. So you think about how many years ago that was, and it looks good.
But the pop-in, if you think back to when we got the moons and we were flying into the moons for the first time, the pop-in was actually pretty bad. But now, as you approach the moons, it looks amazing, and I'm under no illusion whatsoever that they will pretty much do the same thing for trees as well. So, like, I'm so excited for what they can do with this.
But it does bring that question, like we said, about the hover bikes, you know, the ability to go. I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking with my Cyclone, I was thinking, how am I going to get through these dense and unpassable...
Well, that's what I want. I do not want a bike to be flying over the trees.
So we need a vehicle. We need a logging, farming vehicle.
That's what the tank for. That's what the Nova tank
the tanks for. Or bombing, sending the hurricane in. Just drop the bombs to blow up the road.
Just to make a pathway through for your car. Cheers, mate. But yeah, I mean, don't forget, if it's a dense forest, you don't just drive your car through a dense forest. So it's a balance between, yes, we want things to fly through the forest, but there's no point saying I can't get my Cyclone through there. Yeah, well then don't drive through the forest in a Cyclone. It's find somewhere a little bit more open.
Can you imagine being on a Javelin and you're looking at a map and you're actually trying to work out the best place to drop your tonks? Because if you drop them in the wrong place, then you're going to get blocked by trees, and you want to approach from the right angle, and you don't want to be upwind, whatever. You know, like
people are just going to complain about it. They're going to have a hover tank eventually. Like, I can't drop my tanks wherever I want and just drive straight there. No, give me some hover tanks, CIG.
And they'll probably go faster than 100 MS as well.
Yeah, I know.
God. I look forward to strategy.
Sorry, just on Tuesday, just to answer your question, I 100% think that there will be an Intel Microsoft type of company within the game. They've got an AMD one. There will be an Intel one. He's got too close a relationship, from what I understand, with Intel. Not to be. Elon Musk's in the game. Intel will be in the game. I've said this before. We said this on the podcast. I want to have real world brands, the brands that we think will be around for another 200-300 years, because we've got Earth in the game. So why not have it? Brings it to makes it feel more immersive.
That was one of the big things for Blade Runner. That Coca-Cola sign.
Yeah.
You know, that's such an epic moment in Blade Runner. And when you first said that, you know, alarm bells are going off. I'm like, oh, my immersion. But no, I don't think it would break my immersion, actually, to see big brands.
Real world brands that in the future.
Mixed. But I think that helps the immersion, though. Like, you have to, if you have them mixed with made up and real worlds, that helps you pull you in, because you're seeing things you recognize, and then you start recognizing the other brands. It's all part of it, I think. I think it should be, hopefully we do get it, but it depends on how precious they are about locking those out, really.
Okay.
Okay, so then obviously the big chunk is service beacons, which we've discussed a bit of a chat about,
which is pretty good.
So one of the first things on it was about obviously the big part of the service beacons is the star rating, and one of the questions I have on that is, do you think this is a good system? And secondly, can it be easily exploited? So if you get if you need a high rating, can you not just get your friends or your org to take a mission off of you, give you a nice good review, then the next one takes a mission off you, gives you a really good review, and you just go through your org until you've got a really high rating all the time?
I'm hoping they'll be smarter than that. It's not hard for them to. I would imagine it can't be super difficult for them to work out in the game who your acquaintances are.
I'm more worried about alternate accounts. Like if you create a new character, buy in with like a 45. If you have the kind of spending cash where you can just buy an alternate account, $45, and then just have your org just grind up your reputation, or you can pay someone else to grind out an account for you. You know, you buy the account straight from them and it has a max reputation, and then like, we can use this one to trick someone fool into bringing his javelin into orbit, and then we take his javelin, something like that. I'm kind of worried about that.
Oh yeah,
myself.
I mean, it's probably a big flaw for that type of system, because and you kind of have it now already with like Trustpilot and things like that on Amazon. And people saying that there's just loads of really fake reviews, or you're paying someone for a good review. You know, like I tell you what, say you've done this mission, I'll give you some credits. Just give me a good review, and then you know if you're a pirate, that could be a potential way of getting your reputation up, so that you can pay other people to give you good reviews. And then you look fine in the verse, and then you start stealing from people.
And that kind of brings me like on the whole beacon system. I really think there's a good reason for players to avoid the beacon system because of that. If you have a large enough org, you'll just do jobs within the organization, or you'll just deal with people you know you can trust for credits, and and that's another thing. Like if you have player generated content, you can tell it's a player. Like, oh, that's a player. It's going to be an ambush. Nope. And see, Chris Roberts really kind of wants that immersive quality where it's like you don't know if it's a player, you don't know if it's an NPC.
I still
it could be a good player.
Yeah. And that is something I highlighted as a problem, because also would you only want to take 4-star plus missions, which is it's kind of like when I now buy stuff on Amazon, it's like, well, unless it's got 4 stars, I'm not interested, or book a holiday or anything like that. It's like, yep, scroll through all the ones that are 3-star and 2-star, you don't bother. So it's like, how are you?
And I think some people, they're going to throw their characters away when they get 3 stars reputation. They're like, oh, my character's done 3 stars.
The reputation, from what I believe, everyone starts off with 0 and it goes up. And dependent on...
I think it goes down as well. I think
yes.
No, but I mean, as in terms of, from what I heard on RTV, it sounds like it will depreciate over time. So if you stop doing escort missions, you will depreciate. So you'll start dropping stars.
I think you have to bear in mind that I think it'll be much like real life. If you want a great graphic designer, for example, you gotta pay the money, and it will essentially be the cost of somebody for a beacon will be dependent on their rating. So yeah, I think people with 1 star will still get jobs, but you just won't be getting paid. If you have that 1 star, you won't be getting paid anywhere near as much as somebody who has and is maintaining 5 stars. You know,
and here's
so...
and here's another thing that can help with the beacon system is showing the person's citizen number, or if it's a player, hours played, would definitely help prevent like the alternate account washing, laundering their account.
It's a player and not an NPC.
Then you know it's a player, not an NPC.
That's why I'm saying get rid of the whole pretending it's not a player thing and just make a decent system so that
at the same time,
from players.
At the same time, you're not going to have people's names above their heads. You're reliant on what the person looked like.
No,
so, for example,
tells you who
the beacon's going to have.
It has
the beacon's going to have a player name
for you.
Yeah, but
what? Your name in it.
Oh yeah, I suppose.
And you're rated because so I got a graphic of the player beacon.
But yeah, like the citizen number would be a great way to do it because your the number that your player account has a citizen number and it goes up the number of accounts we have.
Like I don't think there's anything wrong with that because that's about building reputations within the community, right?
Yeah.
Like one of the things I loved about EVE Online when I first started playing EVE Online in 2003 was the fact that back then the community was quite small and there were big players within the community, and when you saw a certain player come into your system, you go, oh shit, okay, I'm going to leave now. And I kind of like that idea within Star Citizen.
And that's an MMO mostly right there. You know, the whole multiplayer part of it is that you learn the social aspects of the game. You know, who has influence, who has authority. You know, don't fuck with this guy because if you do, your life is going to be a nightmare. Like you're literally not going to be able to leave a port without having your ship in tatters. Because you pissed this guy off.
We've had that for the people who were people in 2.6.3 and 2.5 and sharing 2.6. If you know who the public enemies were, if you played enough times in the days, you knew who you were competing against. If you played an arena commander, you knew who the combat pilots were. You knew their names. I mean, I knew most of them. I would be like, every now and again, you get somebody who you were like knew and you didn't know their name, and then it would be an interesting fight. You'd be like, oh, this person's really good. And I would usually send them a DM straight after and be like, hey, you got an org? Are you interested? Blah blah blah. And then find out, but. That exists now. People know.
I think that's why they're saying that the star rating will depreciate over time because basically, if you're a really good hauler and you're doing missions for people, you'll keep your star. So you'll know if you've got a decent hauler because your star rating keeps up. So obviously, I just mentioned at the start about exploiting, and we're worried about that, and that is always going to be a concern. However, hopefully, with the depreciation system and like the difficulty of maybe keep getting people to give you the reviews, that overall you've still got a certain amount of trust with someone that's got a 4-star, 5-star rating compared to obviously someone that hasn't got it. So even with exploiting, it should still hopefully balance itself out that you can mostly trust that person. But
yeah, to be fair, I genuinely just think it reflects real life. You know, to go back to my sort of idea of a graphic designer in real life, if I pay a graphic designer 15 quid to design me something, they can fuck off with the money. It's
and eventually, if you've got someone with loads of fake reviews, eventually the bad ones, if they get used, the bad ones come through. And you can still see. So, like, even on eBay is a really good sign for that because it's been doing that system for years. And you can see people have got like 98%, but when you actually click on them, they've got like, shit ton of good reviews and then still a shit ton of neutral and negative. And I always kind of avoid those as best I can if they've got too many negative because it's like, now there's something not right about this seller. I'll go with someone that's got 90 to 90% good reviews because they're more genuine. So yeah.
Question for you though. Question. Here's the thing: is like though, but maybe they could fix it. But I don't know if you said it. But is if you have, the person that's giving the review, their information has to be accredited or ticketed, stamped with their name. So if your mate reviews you 50 times. And giving you the same name over and over again, and you can check who's given them the reviews.
Their name and org.
Yeah, his name and org, and you'll be able to see if all of the reviews are all just the same org and the same person. Then it makes it a little bit more tricky to kind of pretend. You'll be like, well, this is clearly, I don't know if this guy's legit or not. It's still a risk. It still could be legit.
I think it's to be fair, I think it's there's no one simple fix. I eBay sell for a living for a company. It's what I do. And if there's one thing that I've learned in terms of rating with eBay, since that is an example that's come up in this conversation, is that yes, the people that I have the most issues with, and the people that I literally have 20 orders, right? They're about a month old at the moment, and I'm still awaiting payments, and I'm going through disputes, and they're all people with 0 ratings as buyers. But at the same time, you have to bear in mind that with the review and the rating system in eBay employ third-party companies full-time to go through all of those disputes. And that's not something that CCP are going to be able to do. So they're going to have to be really clever with the systems that they design to kind of...
CIG, not CCP.
CIG, sorry.
I know what you meant. I know what you meant too, but
trigger people are going to trigger like.
So again, I think it comes back down to the whole point of this project, and that's to provide this feedback to CIG and tell them this is working, this isn't working, and for them to sort of balance it over time.
Another problem I have is that if you make the beacon system too convoluted or too difficult to use or too untrustworthy, nobody's going to use it. They're just going to go straight up to somebody and say, "Hey, I need some money. Got a mission for me?"
Yep.
And then you're going to have all this wasted developer time for nothing.
People always go for generally the easiest, simplest route for almost anything. You know what I mean? Look at paths that people make that meander, and you see the grass, which has been ruined by people walking in the shortest distance to the end goal. Do you know what I mean? Going, I don't want to fucking meander down this path. I want to get to my destination as quickly and as efficiently as possible.
And I'm under no illusion that when you have big orgs like Test, for example, people will be recruiting and finding people to do jobs for them within the organization, and they'll be doing it through their own forums and through Discord and whatnot. And it's like we were talking earlier about VoIP and VoIP. People will be using their own forms of communication, but I think ultimately they will be forced to use the in-game method when they want to communicate outside of their own organization. I'm pretty sure it'll probably be the same with beacons and finding jobs, because again, playing EVE Online, I'll be finished in a second.
My turn next.
When it came to me trying to find like industrial people when I was playing EVE Online, there wasn't always an industrial person online, so I still had to go back to the traditional methods of finding people outside my corporation or alliance. Sorry, carry on, Madness.
No, I was going to say, and this is my last thing about the beacons. I know it's about exploiting and stuff, and I know that when I bought something the other day on the internet, it was like some electronic goods, and it was part of the deal was if you give us 5 stars, we'll give you something. And I was curious as if that could be, if they, again, this is again another bad thing, is this where people will be smart enough to say, hey, look, if you give me 5-star rating for my service, I'll give you something, an extra bit of money, or I'll give you,
I'll give you a bonus.
There's a way,
bonus for
a coupon or something. Yeah, coupon for 10%.
And I wonder if that's a potential.
I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing though, because still, if they're providing you with the service, but they're giving you a little bit extra, they've still provided you with the service or the product.
How about we flip that around? How about you give me money and I won't give you a 1-star review.
Yeah, that's going to be the worst one. Is give me extra, now pay me extra, or I'm going to give you a bad rating. That will be probably exploited more that way than the other way. But they did say,
I'm sorry.
But they did say so this will prevent it a little bit. So there is going to be a review both ways. So you can review them as an employer, and then they can be reviewed as an employee. So you can say, well, he was shit. He didn't escort me very well, or he didn't get my cargo there in one piece. So it's going to be like but then you get the same thing. You give me 5 stars, I'll give you 5 stars. It's like, oh my god. So
I'm just going to hire NPCs to do my job at this rate.
It's going to become reviews. Review citizens.
Citizen reviews.
That is literally part of what I do as my job. It's like the amount. There have been several occasions where I have shipped a computer, for example, to say France, and the computer has arrived broken, but the douchebag on the other end, rather than going, oh, it was damaged in transit, they decided to, rather than contact me first, just leave a negative review, at which point I message them and I say, it was clearly damaged in transit, I can send you another one. But then we end up going through this whole dispute, at which point they still won't remove their negative review, and I just have to end up leaving them a negative review. It's just kind of the par of the course, really, you know.
Yeah. So we have 2 questions. The first question, Phantom Killer, about the Nox. Yes, I've flown the Nox. It's much better. We talked about it earlier in the podcast. If you missed it, go back and check it out tomorrow on the Asylum. If you want it on the YouTube, if you haven't obviously subscribed, you can watch it. But basically, it's good. I can get it in. There's a little bit of difficulty now and again in terms of if you're a little bit fiddly, it's a bit unresponsive. It could be better, but it's a million times better than it was. So, you know, but go check it out if you want to hear more of what we talked about the Nox at the beginning of the show. The next question is from the prisoner, and he asks, he says to everybody, he says, bounty hunting question. He says, I see, because we're talking about abuse of the system, so this is relevant. I see abuse with bounty hunting issues by players, people sending out random bounties on people with no consequences on them, unlike an assassination job. Or like unlike.
Well, here's the difference between a bounty hunter mission and an assassination mission. Bounties can be taken alive, and that's actually being built into Star Citizen. The Hawk, the Anvil Hawk, has a cryopod in it. The Aegis Stalker has cryopods as well, and so will the Cutlass Blue will have cryopods as well.
A bounty hunting job will actually be to take them alive. It won't be alive or dead. If you want them dead, that's an assassination mission. If you want them alive, that's a bounty hunter mission. They will be different missions.
Still waiting for my Star Citizen brand can opener to get somebody out of a saber.
Well,
you know.
I see the abuse. I mean, there's going to be abuse of all the. I personally am not a huge fan of some of these things. If I'm being honest, I just, like we said before, I just worry that it's overcomplicating the game, and I just think that.
Well, they basically said so that the bounty hunting will be legal means. So it'll be a legal contract and doing it all legally through the UEE, and it's an, you know, like someone just said in chat, they'll have a crime rating or whatever. It'll be a legal thing. If you do the assassin thing, if you can choose to carry it out. That's your choice if you take the mission. If you do it in UE space and you're found out, you then get a criminal rating for it, and the person that gave you the mission gets a criminal rating. Now, that doesn't mean that you might be able to do it outside of an unknown zone and then assassinate the person. You might get away with it, but the punishment is, if you try to assassinate someone, you will get the same negative effect.
Kind of like
you're going to do it anyway.
Kind of like a Ruto mission. Like, you have to go to a shady area of town, you get the mission, and then if you do the mission, you get crime stat.
Yeah.
So it's up to you to accept it or not do it. Or you can say, well, I don't want five ranks of crime stat, I'm out of here. Or you got something a little bit less crime statty in there, maybe. But it's up to you to find someone who's willing to take that person out. Hey, if you want to assassinate the head of TESS, go right ahead and try. You probably won't make it.
Well, but I think I love the idea of those kind of crazy ass, like if someone puts a big enough bounty on something, what could happen? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If someone can put a big enough bounty on someone's head, you know, are you making their life a misery within the game? You know, are they or is that something they really want and enjoy the idea of, you know, like kind of a John Wick scenario where everywhere he looks, there's assassins about to jump out and try and kill you, you know?
Or you put a big enough bounty on someone and his org mate claims it, and they're like, okay, your bounty's cleared. We're finished with this. Let's move on with our game.
Yeah, and that was, again, I hate bringing up EVE Online all the time, but that was a problem with EVE Online. You know, at one point I was like the 3rd most wanted pirate in EVE Online. So my friend just came along and podded me and then took the money. You know, easy peasy. I was a bit pissed, to be fair, because I really liked being like the 3rd or 4th most wanted pirate, but that's besides the point.
He's like, nope.
No honor amongst thieves, clearly.
Do you know what an easy fix for that type of thing could possibly, not an easy fix could be to stop that from happening? Is I don't think it would work, but in the UK we have a game called Conkers, and say for example my Conkers is like my Conqueror is like I hit somebody who's like a Conqueror size 5. This one was 1 Conqueror, then becomes a 5 kill Conqueror. It takes the score of the other person and it gets given to them. So, for example, if your mate had killed you, Moist, and then he then became the third number most wanted person, it might be a little bit less encouraging.
Just ends up like a washing machine. Money's just going around.
Yeah, it's like a samurai, the ninja Afro samurai.
Afro samurai. Yeah, you fucked me too with that one.
Get the band,
the headband.
You the number one. You become the number one, and then everybody wants to get that title from you, and everyone wants to kill you. And anyway, I don't think it'd work, but it might be quite fun.
We'll see. A lot of that is up in the air and needs to be developed first. And there's they got bigger fish on the plate right now.
We got way bigger fish on the plate. Like if you look at the roadmap and stuff, and you see what they have yet to do still for 3.2, that they got a lot of shit to do for 3.2.
I haven't seen any real progress on the roadmap recently. I don't think they've been updating the roadmap. It's not much.
I don't know.
Well, they have been updating it weekly, but I just don't think stuff has been
Bind-Culling's looking yet. Not even hit halfway, as far as I can see. In terms of needing to be done.
I don't care about Bind-Culling. Like, I'm not expecting Bind-Culling until the end of the year, realistically.
Ooh. Yeah, I'm not surprised if stuff gets pushed off till next year. Like, a lot of this network stuff is really heavy stuff.
We need object container streaming anyway, so it's just like, whatever.
so, I mean, if they can bring... My worry is that if object container streaming then gets hit because the guys are still working on the binding, it's kind of a shame, because then they move on to the other one. Do you know what I mean? And then the other one might not happen until next year, and it's like, damn. Do you know what I mean? Because they might not change.
It's not the same
system. They might not bring want Moist. That might just delay even further your object container stream, because they still have to do the net. They might be going, we're going to get the net binding done first, because that needs to be done, like chicken and egg thing. That needs to be done first, and then we'll do the object container streaming.
But it's not the same people. Matt Sherman, if you could clarify if I'm wrong, but it's not the same people working on it, and could one delay the other? You know, we don't really know. So
I think the network team is all working on the network stuff. There's like 4 people dedicated on the network team, but I'm sure they have code support as well. They need for the engine.
Sure.
Yeah. So they're working on the Amazon side as to get the AWS and integration, and they have, of course, the Lumberyard integration, and then they're working on their own separate math, I would assume. This is my assumptions, though, from. What do I know?
We don't know anything.
What do I know?
What do I know? Yeah, confirmed CIG employers right here. We know everything.
All right.
We're basically planning out the roadmap for the next year for them. If you didn't come in, like I was saying, Sean, we had some fantastic ideas there that you missed out big time. If you were lurking in the background and thought that there were some good ideas, feel free. I'm always available. I'm happy. I'll take royalty checks.
Set royalty checks for your ideas.
Not a problem. Not a problem. Just subscribe to the Asylum channel. It's fine. Patron to us. We'll be fine. So yeah, I've got any more questions? I don't think we've got any more questions. It's been a pretty light week. Is there anything else? I think that's pretty much it. That's good. I think that's. We're not going to stretch it on just for the sake of stretching it on. So
perfect. I can go to bed.
Looking forward to this week.
Oh yeah.
So let's just wrap it up then, guys. So what are you guys up to this week? Where can we find you?
Mr.
Vertigo. You can start.
Oh, I can start. Yes. You can find me on. All right.
And he's done.
And I'm spent. You can find me on Twitch all this week. We're doing a new schedule, so we'll probably be hitting the go live button here as soon as we get done with the podcast. We'll probably be going to about 9 p.m. PST my time, so in a few hours. More Star Citizen. We're looking to start another side project soon. That's pretty much it. We have another podcast I'm going to be on this weekend, the Captain's Table. With Paul Shelley and a few other people. I don't know if they've filled out the roster completely yet. I can go check real quick. It's gonna be me, DA Games, and Tasign was here. It's gonna be on the podcast this Saturday. I think it's 3 p.m. So there you go.
Good stuff.
Captain Table's always a good show.
It's good.
It's all good.
We've all been on.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
We've all been on it. It's a great show to go to. A great show. Sorry, Sherman. The idea, very briefly, very quickly, it was to create shadow brokers style. So we as players can create gameplay.
That's why he's saying it's a great idea, because it's something he come up with. It's like, forget everything else that was talked about on the podcast. I've come up with this really good idea. Sherman, take it away. Take it away. It's not going to happen.
Go and work on that, Sherman.
It's in there. Go check it out. About an hour backwards.
What he's saying is there's bigger people than you with bigger ideas than you. So put your ideas in a little can and sit on them.
Damn it! He's like, we've heard your ideas, man. So don't come
Big
in.
Fucking axe just chopping you down. Each sentence he comes
no
over.
mercy.
This is.
I'd be careful about. I'd be hurting Madness's feelings. He's got a spade and a friend that likes him.
I do. Lime and a spade. I have the spade. I just go by the lime. We're good. So, sorry, I completely interrupted, but Sherman's CIG, so he gets priority.
Yeah, that's fine.
Carry on.
I'm sorry. I was supposed to keep saying something. I'm done.
Was there?
Oh,
no,
done.
Literally, I'm literally spent now.
What are you up to this week besides healing up, my friend? How did you find, by the way, with one hand playing? Were you able to carry on? Is it?
Yeah, it's actually not too bad. So I essentially bound. So I got my Corsair mouse, and I bound walk forward to the one button, walk back to the other button, and then an interaction to my middle mouse wheel.
Oh wow.
Flying, I just took my hand off the mouse, my right hand, and used the keyboard. But yeah, it's actually not too bad. Bit of a challenge that I kind of enjoyed. But as for this week, I'm streaming every day from 5:30 GMT, apart from Wednesday and Sunday. That is my current streaming schedule. And I would like to try and do some IRL streaming at some point on the board again. But that kind of I need the left hand for holding the camera. I even bought a DJI gimbal to try and get smooth shots while I'm streaming, but that's going to have to hold off for a couple of weeks. This coming weekend, I'm actually in Prague. I'm visiting Keen Software, the guys who make Space Engineers and Medieval Engineers, so that should be fun. Going for a tour of the office, and we'll be going to a burger and beer festival, which I'm really looking forward to. And I'll probably do an IRL stream while I'm there as well. And that's pretty much it for me for this week. Thanks.
You'll be hard though to do the IRL stream and drink a beer at the same time.
It'll be fine. I'll just get a baseball cap with the.
Like you think?
I've thought it through.
Two beer glasses.
Get a camel pack. Get a camel pack,
exactly.
a 2-litre camel pack on your bag with the straw, and then you can literally just go in and just
exactly. Everybody loves camel toe packs.
A camel pack.
Yeah.
Fine.
Cam packs. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll go. So it's kind of weird because I'm not really hosting. Yeah, I'll be waiting to catch the baby. Very clearly, honestly, as soon as the baby's here, I won't be on the stream. I won't be on the podcast for a few weeks at least. We need to get schedule done, so it'll be bye for a while. Yeah. I'm sure it won't make a difference to the numbers. It'll probably go up, in fact. But no, I'll be away for a bit, but I'll be doing content for YouTube, so I'm going to be focusing on that. So I will be around. I'll just be switching mediums just to help with a crying baby, and to be supportive and all that stuff. So baby coming at the end of the week. I will try and stream tomorrow and try and get a couple of streams in until the baby's here. But I've got a busy schedule with work as well. We've got major deadlines on shoes to be done for work. So yeah. But I'll try and do as much content, but I'll be in as many streamers' channels as I always am, because I'm a big avid Twitch Star Citizen watcher. I love all the people's streams and content. So I'll be in these guys' streams when they stream as much as possible, chatting to them and pestering them and jumping in Discord when I can. So it's a lot easier to mute in other people's streams of Crying Baby and not talk for
or if you don't like them, to unmute the Crying Baby.
Unmute the Crying Baby.
Great idea. Let's get out my Discord.
I like that idea. Actually, this is probably a good opportunity. So basically, we need people who are going to be runners for free, who are going to do loads of free stuff for the podcast. So basically, we need you, because we spend all year ourselves doing lots and lots of hard work, creating shows like podcasts and stuff. But what I want to do is I need to hire lots of free people to come and do all the hard work that I do because I don't want to do it anymore. So I need to hire you guys to make me look really good. Is that possible? Anyone available to make the podcast? If you do, if you're willing to do that, give me a call. Number on the Asylum. Anyone here knows what I'm talking about or know what I'm referring to. It's a free world. Unfortunately, I can't say free stuff on Twitch. But if you do, feel free to give me a shout. I can do with anyone to come and do free stuff for us, please. I can't pay you anything.
You're not popular.
Yeah, just not all at once, everybody.
Unfortunately.
I'll tell you if anyone wants to know what that's a reference to. Come into my Discord and I'll tell you later.
Fair
I
enough.
was just reminded. What was that? I think wasn't there an episode of The Simpsons that had some spiel like that?
I'll tell you later.
Could well be. Could well be.
And Miz, what about you this week?
So this week I am, I think, doing Paint, Prep and Roll on Wednesday night. So we do some painting and chatting. It's kind of like just a group of us get together and kind of do a chat about random shit while I paint in the background. Apparently people like that, so...
I actually enjoy that show, so keep up the good work.
Thank you very much. So yeah, it's just really laid back. We literally talk about anything, and if people are available, they jump on Discord. And it's like a night at the pub, and people get to see me be a little bit creative and paint some models. I'm not great, although I'm okay. Yeah, people seem to like it, so that's fine. And then on Friday, again is D&D. Hopefully we'll still have Madness for then. If not, I can kill his character and he won't know.
Yeah,
so it's all good. D&D is getting really good. We're getting a lot better as we sort of learn the mechanics and things as well. So I'm enjoying that. Like I said, so it's all good fun. And if you missed any, if you want to see any more, you can find it on the Asylum YouTube channel. And obviously, we're all on our own individual channels. !Asylum will give you links, blah blah blah, and all that stuff. And it's Madness hosting, pretending. So go on, Madness, you can wrap it up.
Who should we host? I mean, I know The Few, by the way, has made partnerships, so congratulations to him. That wasn't surprising. So, but I'm really pleased for him. Well done, congratulations.
Well done, Mr. Few.
Talented man.
Well
Talented
done.
man.
Yeah. No, he's done a great job. I don't know who else is. I think we could throw it to him.
Anybody else to be
already. So, there was somebody who I saw, but he's not streaming now. So, I don't know anyone. Thermocubes.
I don't know. Can I actually launch OBS? There we go. Yeah.
We could host Mr. Vertigo.
I'm just, if you feel like it, I can just hit start right now.
Just get your credits rolling. Just get your credits rolling, Vertigo, and we'll host you, dude. We'll just
there we go.
On
the mic. Let's see if I can refresh. It's gonna have my old title card, but whatever. I haven't changed my title card all week.
We'll host. So we're gonna host Vertigo, so he can carry on.
Yeah. Okay, guys. So if you enjoyed Vertigo, go and stay around for a raid. Otherwise,
he's all right.
I'm all right.
Just don't make it obvious when you leave his channel. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'll just slowly watch my viewer count decline.
I'll be watching The Few. Everybody.
We all do. We all.
Honestly, I don't blame you. He's
if you want free stuff, he's doing a big giveaway right now. So open both. Do what I do. Open both.
Yeah.
Watch the person with the real content, and then we'll watch the other one with the giveaways to see if you get that little red marker on the side.
Whoa, that's my space, bro. You're talking about.
Hey, there's no whole bars, baby, here at the Asylum.
No hold bars.
That's fine. The Few is really open about the fact that he buys views. So.
I love The Few. Yeah, I love The Few. He's awesome, dude.
Okay, guys. Well, as always, thank you very much for the support. Thank you for joining us. Hope you enjoyed it. If you missed the start or any part of the show, it will be up on YouTube tomorrow, hopefully, as long as everything goes as it's supposed to. But yeah, thanks for joining us, and we'll try and host Vertigo if he is actually live. Are you live?
Yes.
Yep.
Awesome. Good stuff, dude. We'll host you and have a great stream.
Oh,
thank you very much.
You have to do the command, Madness.
And
it's his channel. I'm just hosting the stream. He has to do the command still.
Awkward.
/raid.
So awkward.
Dum-de-dum-de-dum.
HC.
Dun dun dun.
Go.
We do plan this out, try to be really professional and try and keep this running smoothly, like bit to bit.
Trying.
You know, it's like the last bit just goes on for about another 15 minutes when we're trying to end it. We will get better at this bit, we promise.
Anyway, I'll see everybody in a little bit, and you gentlemen have a wonderful night.
Thank you for joining us.
See you again real soon.
Thank you.
Good night, all.
Farewell.
If you don't join us anywhere else, see you next Monday for the podcast. Bye.
All right, I'm gonna head out now that we're switching over.
Farewell.